This is Bob Adrian, a.k.a. Bill Wilkins, and this is the Brohio Podcast.
But there is a time for violence, and that is in self-defense. So I want you to make sure you go out there and you learn how to shoot straight. And if you're younger than I am, you can learn some karate or jiu-jitsu or some of that stuff. And when they come to mess with you and mess with your constitutional rights, kick the crap out of them.
What's going on?
You know any goddamn jujitsu?
Yeah, that guy's he's gonna go hard in the paint.
He said, "Hey, bud, you come up, get in my goddamn face at the bar. I'm gonna kick you right in the goddamn crotch tonsils.
Give you a fucking karate
I
chop."
said, "You know any karate? How about you know any goddamn jujitsu?" You don't know who that was? That's the subject of our topic here. That was one Mr. Randy Weaver. He's from the Ruby Ridge fame. Also, he's some say he's a freedom fighter. Some say a lot of things about Randy Weaver. There's a lot of things you're going to learn about.
I'm sure
Randy
we'll find out about it.
You're going to learn all kinds of stuff about Randy Weaver. He said, if you know any jujitsu, use that shit. Use that goddamn jujitsu.
At least he gave it pretty much as like a young man's game. If
Yeah.
you're younger than me.
I don't want you out there breaking your goddamn hips and shit.
Right.
Hips are for fucking, not for fighting. If you've never listened to the Brohio Podcast before, welcome here. Thanks for joining us. We're very happy to have you. The holidays are behind us.
Man.
We are finally into the future. We're no longer at Christmas time.
Yeah, the plague's been running through both of our houses, though.
It has been. I think your house got a lot worse than my house did.
Yeah, we're going through it right now, so.
Ooh, wait.
I'm good. I don't get sick, but the kids, they're all dying.
They do. They do die.
Yeah.
But you just give them a little shot of Smarties, and then they come right back.
That's why I had 3, so if one passes away, I got another one to carry on my legacy.
Next man up. Next man up.
Batter up.
If I sound like a little bit, this is Rob and I. He's more of an audio snob than I am.
Yeah.
But I'm not really an audio snob. There's a part of my microphone that died.
Yeah.
That helps push my microphone.
Yep, it went bye-bye.
So if I sound like a big ball of shit, tune in next week because I contacted the people that makes the broken part. They said, hey, we'll send you a new one.
I think you'll be okay.
But it's going to be a couple days before I get it, Rob Dog.
Yeah, that's fine. I used this microphone for a while without one, and it worked perfectly fine, so you should be okay.
And God willing, this episode is sponsored by Jaxus. That's what he is on Patreon, but his real name's Josh.
Okay. I like Jaxus better. You should change it.
We're going to call him Jaxus, for sure.
Definitely.
But also in this episode, we're hoping to make contact with one Mr. Bob Adrian, a.k.a. Bill Wilkins from the Conjuring 2.
Yeah, we are.
We're very excited to talk to him. He's we called him once. He's cooking dinner. We were a little sketchy on the time, so hopefully when we catch him, he's in a good mood because we kind of stood him up a little bit.
Yeah, we dropped the ball a little bit as usual. That's what we do.
What do you expect from us?
We disappoint.
Now, normally I have written down all these really important dates coming up, all kinds of live shows, but I didn't write those down.
Who knows?
But
Figure it out.
We have a live show coming up with one Mr. What's his name? He doesn't have a name.
I don't know.
It's Hillbilly Horror Stories.
Oh, yeah, Jerry.
We're going to
And
Waverly.
Tracy. Yeah.
Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky.
What is it, April 16th?
Something like that.
So, yeah, you could figure out the
they've
details.
since expanded the venue. So now it's there's 100 tickets available. There's only about 50 tickets available if you want to go to Waverly Hills Sanatorium with us. There's a date in West Virginia, home of the Mothman, and there's also a date in Indianapolis with Justin Rimmel from Mysterious Circumstances.
That's going to be sexy.
That's going to be a lot of sexy right there. You ain't ready for all that sexiness. But go, if you do a Google search, just Google Brohio Eventbrite, and all of our dates, all of our tickets will come up. None of them are more than, I think they're all around like $15 for both of them. I know the Waverly one's a little more expensive, but if you're going to Waverly, you have to buy tickets to the show, and if you want to go on the tour, you have to buy tickets to the tour through the Waverly website.
It's going to be a good time.
It is. A lot of housekeeping stuff. Kind of been slow the past couple weeks. All of your favorite podcasts slow down for the holiday season. Not us. We put out some shit episodes,
Yeah, we did.
but we're back with a good episode. The old thorough research you expect from the bros of Brohio.
Back to business as usual.
But first, we want to say thank you to our new Patreon pledgers. First up is Aurora Aries, and I want to say a special thank you to Aurora because she wrote us and said she lives over the pond.
Okay.
And anytime I send something over the pond, it usually takes about 7 to 8 years.
Right.
And she said, hey, I haven't got my sticker. I'm a Patreon pledger now. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give you a special shout out over the pond, Aurora Aries. That sounds like it might be a professional wrestling name, which is really cool because Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, it does.
Hulk Hogan is going to be on Monday Night Raw tonight,
Ah.
which means the WWE doesn't care about black people anymore. That's exactly what that means. Hulkster going to run wild with my white mask on.
Yeah, let's hope he keeps that forbidden word out of his mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Next up, we have Edward Johnston.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Mr. Ben Murray. Ben, thank you so much for your Patreon pledge. Another person reached out to us this week, Mrs. Ellie Jane. She said, my boyfriend fucking broke up with me, and he's a big listener of the show. So, ex-boyfriend of Ellie Jane, if you're listening, circle back, be a stand-up guy, give her a chance. If that doesn't work for you, go fuck yourself. If that doesn't work either, then maybe buy a ticket and come over here and hang out with us. Because I think they live in Great Britain.
Okay, yeah, it's right around the corner.
Yeah, so I can threaten people from Great Britain because I'm not worried about them coming here and burning my fucking house down.
Right.
One thing that we normally don't touch on every week that we're going to hit this week is we have a special article for you. So I'm going to go ahead and read that article for you.
Yeah.
The cool thing about this article, normally I type in weird news. There's a subreddit called Weird News or I don't know.
Something of that nature.
There's a good subreddit with lots of fucked up articles every week. But this week, I wasn't really prepared with an article, and I typed in A in my browser, and it populated the top. It said AOL.com/article. I'm like, oh my God, I've never read this article before. But it's automatically populating my screen up top.
Cool.
So I went to it, and I'm going to share it with you right now, okay?
Share it.
It says a Chinese man suffered a severe instance of rectal prolapse after he sat on a toilet for half an hour while playing games on a cell phone, according to reports.
Oh, God, that could happen.
You've all been there. We've all been there.
I spent longer than a half hour on the toilet.
That's all it takes is a half an hour. Now we know. The Daily Mail reports that the unnamed patient went to the hospital around midnight on February 4th after he noticed that a mysterious ball-sized mass had fallen out of his anus, but was still attached to his rear. What is that? That's a butt nut right there. Ain't you ever put no butt nuts in the toilet before? Reports from China state that doctors diagnosed the man with a rectal prolapse, a.k.a. a pink motherfucking sock, a condition where the rectum, the last part of the large intestine, detaches from inside the body, allowing it to protrude out through the anus, thereby turning it inside out.
Peekaboo.
Now you see me, now you don't.
Had to get some air. It stinks in there.
See me? I see you. Of course you don't. I'm behind a tree. According to the American Society of Colon and Rectal Surgeons, sign me up. Chronic constipation is present in 30 to 67% of patients diagnosed with anal prolapse, partially due to severe straining. The patient, who was treated by Dr. Sudan from the Gastrointestinal Surgery Division of the 6th Affiliated Hospital of Sun Yat-sen University, allegedly told his doctors that he'd been playing cell phone games while unsuccessfully attempting to defecate for half an hour. What the I'm out here cleaning the entire house by myself and you're sitting there playing fucking Angry Birds for an hour and a half. Get your stupid ass out here and help me clean the house. Dr. Sudan said that the patient had suffered from rectal prolapse before, but never as severe as this instance. The patient has had rectal prolapse since he was 4 years old.
Oh my gosh.
But the bulge was able to retract in the past.
Stay off the toilet, buddy.
Jesus Christ.
Don't push so hard.
Get back in there, you nasty little bulge.
Just let it come out naturally, man. Don't push so hard.
But he did not have the condition treated, so the situation got much worse. Dr. LV, a colleague of Dr. Sue, told Mail Online that sitting or squatting on a toilet causes pressure in the abdomen to build up, which can force the rectum to detach and protrude if the pelvic muscles are not strong enough to support one's body weight. Yeah, you get in the fucking weight room, guy.
I don't need to work that core.
Jesus. Dr. LV cautioned that anyone experiencing a similar situation should seek immediate medical attention.
Yeah, I would think so. If your butthole is turned inside out, please go to the doctor.
If you or someone you know is suffering from erectile dysfunction, That's exciting news for us. That happened this week.
Yeah,
We're
it did.
getting.
It's not anything to do with either of us. But.
We have held out for a very long time, as far as
Selling out.
like getting ads. I said we're waiting for the perfect ad. We're waiting for the perfect thing to come along. We were really hoping for FarmersOnly.com. That never came through.
I wish it would.
But
I'm
then
still waiting.
This week, one of the ad services that we have our name in said, we have a match for you, and it's a erectile dysfunction pill.
How perfect.
It's fucking perfect.
It's like a match made in heaven.
But they want to pay us to run ads on our show in the middle of the show. So next week, be looking for a special ad from Blue Chew. We're going to be doing a little ad campaign for them. They're going to pay us.
Even if you don't have ED, buy it, because you can get yourself some dick pills and have the hardest dick in the town.
you long dick in them. They have, well, I'm not going to spoil it, but it makes your dick hard. You don't have a hard dick.
Make your significant other happy for once.
Me, I could break up some concrete with my dick right now. That happens anytime Rob Dog comes over.
Yeah, it does.
They call me the jackhammer for a reason, you know? They're really excited to go on that little ad campaign with them. They're gonna take care of us, and we're gonna take care of them. It's gonna be wonderful.
It's a match made in heaven.
So we're kind of selling out, kind of not.
At least it's,
Yeah,
important.
it is important.
Keep your dicks hard.
Keep your motherfucking dicks hard. And we just want to say thanks again to the sponsor of this episode, Mr. Josh Jaxis. Thank you so much, buddy.
Jaxis, I like that.
We're going to be talking to him a little later. But he said, I want you guys to cover the Ruby Ridge incident. And I said, I have no fucking clue what that is. So I looked it up. Copy and pasted everything from the Wikipedia page, and that's what we're going to read to you right now is the Wikipedia page.
Oh, well.
I'm just kidding. Most of my research came from famoustrials.com. So I do like to cite my sources. Thank you, famoustrials.com, for making my job so easy this week, because they covered this shit so thoroughly that I didn't have to veer off the beaten path very much further than that website. I did go to a few other websites because I like to have all the different opinions and whatnot, but I didn't have to go far. They covered it all for me.
Good. That's what we like to do.
And speaking of covering stuff, have you watched the Redemption Tour on Netflix?
I have not.
The Taylor Swift thing.
Yeah, I've not.
I'm running out of ways to masturbate. The last check, I was hanging upside down, wrapped up in a blanket like a bat, and that's how I'm just trying to find new, inventive ways to masturbate. Because that has come out on Netflix.
Yeah, that's going to ruin me.
And it's really done a lot of things.
I'm kind of afraid to watch it.
Cleaning me out, keeping me, just ready. I don't need the Blue Chew for that, for certain.
Right.
She's a beautiful young lady, and I hope she'll come for an interview sometime in my basement. And I will clean the cat box.
Amen.
If any of you listening to the Brohio podcast, if you have an inside contact on Taylor Swift, write us. Let us know. BrohioPodcast@gmail.com. We'll be happy to talk to her. Happy to do an interview. Happy to share.
I think I would cry.
I would weep. I would weep. Hopefully.
Have you ever seen two 30-year-olds weep? Give us a call, Taylor.
If you want to see two grown dads cry in their underwear, write us, Taylor. This is officially how we're using our platform is to get through to
That's
Taylor
all we're
Swift.
doing. And then we're going to retire after that.
I'll be done at that point.
Right. What else can you do? You can't go any farther up from there.
One time I stepped in the shower and my penis touched the curtain and I ejaculated.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to imagine it would be a similar situation if she came in. She would be like, "Hi, I'm Taylor," and I'd be like, "Hi, I'm Nick. I nutted.
Skeleton and all coming out.
I nutted. My name's Nick. My name is Nick, and I nutted.
Have your balls looking like a prune.
I'm sorry, that's a butt nut right there. I was
empty you out and it's just nothing but a sack of wrinkles.
playing Clash Royale on the toilet for 45 minutes earlier.
My butt nut fell out.
That's a butt nut. If you get that toilet brush over there, we can push this shit back up inside and we can finish this interview. Hopefully she's listening.
I hope so.
This centers around Mr. Randy Pete Weaver. And you heard Randy in the beginning of the episode. He said, "You know some goddamn jujitsu." Randy's a down-home fellow. He's from all over the place. He was our story starts in 1970 when he was dating one Miss Vicky Jordanson. Vicky and Randy, they started off completely normal in the beginning, Rob, but then they veered pretty far off the beaten path there. Vicky was a secretary for Sears Roebuck, and Randy was an Army private stationed at Fort Bragg. Rob's fucking throwing
breaking
shit
shit over here.
He's fucking moving my text and shit. Almost every night while Randy was stationed there, he would meet in the Fort Dodge area, and that would allow this love to flourish. So he, every single night he would go into town and he would hang out with Vicky, see what's going on. My wife's grandfather tells me a similar story. When he was served in World War II, but every night he would leave the base to go hang out with his future wife, and they would eat buckets of chicken by a lake. And every fucking night he would go and they would meet and they would sit in the car and they would eat a bucket of chicken and stare at the lake.
That's romantic.
It is very romantic.
That's cute.
One night he said, I am sick and fucking tired. Will you just marry me now? Like he was tired of getting a bucket of chicken. Can you imagine how expensive that would be? Get a bucket of chicken every night and just what that would do to your schedule. Just like, I got to go. And he said they would stay out, staring at the lake till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Then he would have to go back. That's impressive.
Yeah, that's
a wonderful love story.
It is. That's great. I like it.
Now, Randy, he did a similar thing with Vicky, but in 1971, Randy was honorably discharged from the military.
Aw.
November of that year, they moved to Cedar Hills, Iowa, home of abso-fucking-lutely nothing.
That sounds like a blast.
Yeah. How you like corn? No. How about farm animals? You ever had sex with a sheep before? What is it if it's more than one sheep? Is it shoop?
I don't know.
If it's
I think it's just sheep.
singular, a singular form of a sheep would be a shoop.
Because it's a herd of sheep, right?
It's a herd. There's a shoop. Watch out for that shoop over there. The sheep. Sheep's wool. I don't know.
Past tense of sheep is shope. The other day I saw some shope.
Yeah. There was some shope all over my front porch. I just opened up the front door and started pissing on all of them. I don't care. I don't care about that beautiful wool they got on their back. I started peeing on them. It was Randy's plan to enroll at the University of Northern Iowa, home of abso-fucking-lutely nothing, and he was going to major in law enforcement. He wanted to be a police officer. Little did he know that he would become very close to the police officers and federal agents later on in his life, but things didn't really go the way he'd planned. Now, he eventually did get a pretty good-paying job working at the local John Deere factory in Waterloo. What? I think Waterloo is a major city.
Yeah, I think it is too.
I think it's the only major city over there.
If not, at least it's a fun city to say.
Waterloo. That sounds like
had to go to the loo.
If you got really sick, you ate a whole lot of Taco Bell and you got the bubble guts, you'd be like, I feel the Waterloo's coming on.
Sounds like a fun water slide to me.
I got the Hershey squirts. So for several years here, they're just, they're your regular middle America, run-of-the-mill, blue-collar family. They're doing everything right. They're waiting for it to have their first kid. They're already married. He's got a good job at the local factory. In 1976, they did welcome their first daughter, Sarah Weaver, who I reached out to for an interview. She declined. So I have no qualms about talking bad about her or family in this episode, even though she seems like a really nice person. Which she
we're just disappointed in your choices.
Yes. Well, she had an executive, like a representative that was like, no, she's got other stuff going on, which is fine. I wouldn't want to tell this story either if I were her. So
yeah, right.
I have no blame at all right there. I honestly do feel for her and her family. In terms of their religion, they stood rather firmly from a Christian vantage point. And you know how much Rob and I love Christians on this podcast. I think they're wonderful people. I think there's a lot of good Christians out there, Rob.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of good people, any way you look at it. There's a lot of shitheads, too, though.
There's a lot of shithead Christians out there, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot on either side of the fence.
Well, some of this took kind of a weird turn. There's religion, there's Christianity, and then there's like, when I was younger, I told this story and during the Q&A. I would kind of travel around the United States for religious purposes. And oftentimes we'd go to places and they would say, just so you guys know, the preacher is a hellfire and brimstone preacher. And that would be a guy like, if you don't obey the Lord, the tongue of the devil is going to come up through the toilet, and he's going to lick your fucking balls, and he's going to turn you gay. And he's not going to turn you the normal kind of gay. He's going to turn you towards the devil, make you want to suck the devil's dick, not another man's dick. He's going to turn you devil gay. That's what he's going to do when he sticks his tongue up to the toilet and licks you right on the ball sack. That's kind of hellfire and brimstone preacher. I never heard that sermon. If I did, I probably would have laughed a little bit, Rob. I would have giggled a little bit.
I would have liked it, yeah.
Certainly, if you would have just started it off like that.
Oh, give me that devil tongue.
Oh, there I was sitting on the toilet, and I felt it start to run down the small of my back all the way to the tip of my dick hole. I said, ooh, that's the tongue of the devil. I said, not today, devil. Not today. You guys might be able to tell I'm actually an ordained minister. That's part of my gig. That's what I do. I marry people, and I'm going to be officiating some Brohio weddings for sure.
That'd be great.
For sure.
I automatically get to attend too, though.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit back and drink all your beer. I'm just going to take advantage of open bars.
Now, the devotion to their religion did take a bit of a weird turn when Vicky got her hands on a book called The Late Great Planet Earth by Hal Lindsey. I've never personally read this book before, but this was a Christian-based apocalyptic view of the world.
I like the TV show Planet Earth better.
That is a fantastic show. I watched it the other day.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, man.
Beautiful.
It's incredible.
Yep.
The author of this book took the prophecies from the Old Testament and applied them to, at that time, the late 1970s, what was going on in the world, assuming we were already at the end times. Hide your kids. Hide your wife. They're rapturing everybody.
Yeah, they are.
In this book, it stated that a nuclear holocaust, you can't say Holocaust on a podcast, and Armageddon was just around the corner. Here we are, 40 years later, we're still standing, so Hal Lindsey, you're dead.
Eat it.
Eat a dick. Eat a worm dick down there. But Jesus, he said Jesus was coming back, so rest easy, knowing that Jesus was ultimately coming back. He said that violence would soon erupt all over the world. Christians would be persecuted and prosecuted during a time called the Great Tribulation. Then the rapture would occur, sucking up all the good Christians. The bad Christians?
Right.
You fucking stand behind. Good Christians, come on up.
So much for following Christ.
Come on up, we'll see you.
You weren't good enough.
But the rapture thing, that is a pretty cool thought, that one day there's just going to be fucking cars driving all over the place, wrecking it and shit.
Yeah.
Because Jesus said, you're coming with me, you're coming with me, you're to stand down there, you're coming with
cool.
me.
You're cool, fuck you, you're cool.
Get up here and walk the golden streets. Look at my dick. I bet you Jesus has the most beautiful privates in the entire world, Rob Dog.
I would agree.
And in this book, they also preached, and this is where it really hit home for Randy and Vicky. They said that there would, during this time of tribulation, there would be an all-powerful false government during these end times, an all-powerful entity. And that really stuck with Vicky, and she really went out of her way to hammer it into Randy's head that, hey, this is going to be a problem here soon. If there's one thing I know, Rob, it's if your wife starts harping on you about something, you eventually just fucking give in. You're just like, what?
You have to.
Oh, fuck ever. And you finally just like, all right, I tap.
Whatever, shut you up.
Yeah. If we can just make you be quiet for a little bit. If I read your story and believe it, is that okay? So naturally, the answer to their problems was to try and find a spot of refuge, a place where they could hide from all this all-powerful, all-knowing government that was soon to take over the entire world. Vicky would often tell people, her friends, she would say, quote, we have a vision. And I don't know what Vicky sounds like, but the one picture I seen of her in a nightgown, it looked like she had a fucking mullet. So that says a lot about Vicky, that she had a lot of character, business in the front, party in the back, Mississippi mud flap, Tennessee top hat. She liked to rock the fucking mullet. You know what I'm saying, Rob Dog?
I like that was really good.
Did
you practice that?
No, I didn't. That all came out just then. That was
good.
A little word vomit right there.
No, I like it.
They started looking for like-minded Christians with their radical ideologies. Now, oftentimes when you go looking for fucking radical Christians, you find swastikas. You find, people that don't like other races. You find the Aryan Brotherhood, and that's kind of what they stumbled upon. They had these meetings at a Cedar Falls Sambo's restaurant, where the Sambos, they specialize. I can't find them anymore because they're out of fucking business. But they specialize in American pancake-style food. They're like, I would say they're much like an IHOP, is what I would call them. But Sambo's,
overpriced food and shitty service.
Right, exactly. I was looking at they faced a lot of criticism back in the 70s and 80s because their little spokesperson, you know how, I don't know, who's a restaurant that has a mascot? McDonald's, they have Ronald McDonald.
There you go.
Sambo's, they had a little fucking Indian kid that they put on the board, and they would put the Indian kid all over the place inside the restaurant. And apparently this didn't sit well with a lot of people there in Cedar Falls. We don't like no brown kids up on the wall. That's where we draw the line in our King James Bible, because Jesus, he was completely white. He had no brown at all. Yeah. He was not from Middle East. He was
Middle East, a white Middle Eastern.
He was from Nebraska. No, you're wrong. Jesus was fucking brown, I promise. There's one thing I know about Jesus. Beautiful fucking cock. If there's two things I know about Jesus, he had fucking brown skin. For sure. Look it up. You could probably hit Jesus up on Tinder, Grindr, that thing that Rob's into.
Donate, man.
Yeah.
Farmers only.
To prepare for these meetings, Vicky was getting her hands on all different types of books and literature. She was going to the library. She was kicking it with Alex Jones. She was doing all she could do to wrap her head around these fucking extreme conspiracies.
Making the frogs gay. You're making the freaking frogs gay.
She was doing everything she could to radicalize her thoughts, to radicalize her husband. And in today's times, when we hear radicalize, we think of radical Islamic terrorists. And this is kind of, this is religion-based. This is ISIS, for instance. They fucking kill people. Randy and Vicky, they were trying to isolate themselves from society. So when I say they were trying to radicalize one another, I'm not speaking in terms of hitting the fucking trade towers and shit. I'm talking about moving up in the mountains and not having to deal with the government shit anymore, which is exactly what they wanted to do, which is what they did do. Now most of these books and this literature that she was wrapped up in they were all kind of along the same lines, the radical conspiracies, the apocalyptic times. Now, most of these books were hammering home the issue of all this powerful government state that most of them that her and Randy were wrapped up about. Now, Vicky studied her King James Bible, discovering many practices. For instance, they adhered to the no unclean food. They wouldn't eat pork or oysters. I did not know oysters was considered an unclean food. I have a work party this weekend in Columbus at the Pearl, and they specialize in oysters. And I'm really looking forward to it because I like seafood.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard eating oysters is much like swallowing cum.
It's an aphrodisiac.
Well, if you combine that with your blue chew, you'll be ready to
your butthole's going to be hanging all the way out that night, buddy.
Oh, man. They would... But they would both just continue to go further and further down this rabbit hole of everything that they are reading. And just like any good radicalized Christian, they started to associate people of the Jewish faith with the inner workings of the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and the Trilateral Commission.
Mm.
You know what the Trilateral Commission is?
No,
it has to do with a bunch of rich people. I looked into it a little bit, like the Rockefellers, getting high rank. Rich people from all over the world, like the New World Order is kind of what we chalk it up.
Yep, all three things pretty much different names.
Right, exactly the same shit, different names.
Yeah.
So just, they hate fucking Jewish people. They think the world's coming to an end. We haven't confirmed it yet, but we probably think they don't like black people either.
I would assume. Or brown people, or...
So you think that it couldn't get any fucking crazier? That this level of craziness has reached a fever pitch? Well, you're completely wrong. Living in constant fear of our government, kicking in their front door, and depositing their big government dick right into their Christian assholes. Randy, he said, I'm not dealing with this shit.
I'm not dealing with that gay shit.
He said he started to sleep with a fucking flak jacket on.
And a butt plug in.
She said, Randy, why are you wearing a flak jacket?
It ain't no flak jacket. This is a fart jacket. You about blew me off the goddamn bed last night. Ugh, Jesus, a goddamn fart jacket.
Fart deflecting technology.
You put your butt up against me and you blew your hot air on me. Couldn't tell if it was a fart or a fucking pussy queef. Knocked me off the bed. I got dizzy. I got up to get a drink of water, fell and hit my nose. I don't know any jiu-jitsu. There could have been someone in the house that could have kicked my ass. All I had on was my goddamn flak jacket.
Too old for that shit.
My fart jacket. If you ever fart inside my fart jacket, I'll kill you. Throw you right off this mountain.
Not only did he have a fucking fart jacket, but he also slept with a loaded gun under his pillow. Now, for me, that would be very uncomfortable. We've talked
man.
at length about gun stuff on the show.
Yeah.
Rob and I both don't fucking care about guns.
Nah. If you want them, get them.
If you come to my house, I'll shoot you. But I don't want to talk about guns. I don't like to talk about cars or heavy equipment.
No.
We're not men's men, okay?
No, not at all. I
He
have
was
no
like,
idea.
It's got 364 big block, big barrel. It's got a fucking 4-stroker on the floor.
Mine has 4 wheels.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Your Wi-Fi only has 2 bars. You care to clean that up for me, Donnie? You hillbilly fuck.
I don't know fucking shit about cars.
Is that a fart jacket you got hanging up there in your garage?
Yeah, that's my grandpa's fart jacket. Grandpa Randy used to put it on when Grandma, she go to Sambo's, get pancakes, come back to the house, and just blow shit all over the place. They lay down in bed. He had to put on his fart jacket.
Oh, that's nice, buddy. Let's get that Wi-Fi cleared up.
Congrats.
Now, I'm sorry. In a Waterloo newspaper article, Randy said that he planned to build a house in the woods with a 300-yard kill zone around its perimeter.
Oh, wow.
This is getting pretty threatening at this point.
Hashtag goals.
They continue this slow, methodical build towards being raging nutballs and alienating themselves from many friendships and relationships that they'd built over the years. But finally, their time had come, and they died. No, they didn't die. In 1983, they packed up a moving van, and Vicky followed him in the family truck, and they moved all their belongings to the mountains in Idaho. The luxurious, empty terrain of Idaho.
Hey, honey, come on, we're gonna go be potatoes.
Yeah, that's what they got in Idaho.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning, I stuck my finger up my nose, I'm like, man, that's a goddamn russet gold right there, everybody. I got potato in my nose. Idaho, they got all kinds of potatoes.
Yeah, they do.
Potatoes. On September 6, 1983, they found the perfect landing place for their little family.
Yay.
It was a rocky bluff about 8 miles southwest of Boner's Ferry.
I was hoping you were going to say it like that.
Do you think I pronounced that correctly?
I think so.
I think it's spelled Bonners, Boner's Ferry.
A ferry is boner.
It could potentially be Bonner's Ferry. In the
Ah.
interviews, they do call it Bonner's Ferry by accident a few times. But my Northridge Polar Bear education tells me that says Boner's Ferry. Through all the prayer, all the messages, this is what God intended for them to live their life at. This is what Vicky said. She said, this is the absolute perfect spot for us here in Boner's Ferry. There was a lot of rocky boulders, which is great for defending their property. And I read that in the research, and I'm thinking, in my mind, is a rocky boulder, is that good to perch yourself on to fucking shoot somebody? Or is that good to push down the mountain to kill someone that's running up the mountain? And I would like to think that a boulder is better served as rolling down the mountain, Indiana Jones style, and fucking crushing somebody.
Black Sheep style.
Yes, unless they have on a fart jacket, and they would probably survive, honestly.
That was Black Sheep, right?
It was Black
Okay.
Sheep.
I couldn't remember if it was that or if it was.
Pudding in my underwear. Yeah. Oh man, good movie. They should just call it what it was, Tommy Boy 2.
Yeah, that exactly.
Yeah. Now they had around $7,500. They paid around $7,500 for 15 acres, and they started to build their own place. I think that's awfully impressive. They could just build their own fucking house.
I wish I could do that.
I couldn't do
I
that.
can't even build a popsicle stick house.
One time my wife's like, I want a table for the entryway. I'm like, I got this. Fucking 6 months later, I still got this. I can do it, okay? She's like, what's taking so long? I'm like, I don't have the right tools. She's like, what do you need? I said, fucking hammer. I don't
I need a hammer.
have a hammer. Like usually around here, if I need a hammer, I pick up a boot or like something with a heel on it. Or I'll wrap my fist up in a paper like a
I
towel.
was gonna say your hand will only work so
start
much.
punching it. My fucking forehead.
I've needed hammers whenever I've worked, and I don't have one, so I just use like a screwdriver or something else to like hit it.
Your tooth.
It doesn't work. It's not the same.
All right, Rob has no idea where we left off because
No.
we just stopped in the middle of recording, had an interview with Bill fucking Wilkins, Bob Adrian. Now we're back. We were talking about how we both suck with tools and we use our dicks to put nails in the wall.
And that's what we do.
Because the Weavers, they built their own fucking house, okay?
Yeah, see, we're not like that. I can't build shit.
We absolutely suck.
No, we're the worst.
We build podcasts. That's what we build. Now, the Weavers, they started to intermingle with the locals, and to their delight, they found some people there in the, I guess, up there in the mountains with their same fucked up, I guess, point of view. They're, hate the world, the government's come to get us type shit. But about this time is when there's some people that are familiar that have testified and have told their side of the story. This is about the time that Randy took on a very racially motivated tone. This is when he started to be very forthcoming about his hatred towards other races, essentially. But just as they made all these new friends in that area, they made a lot of new enemies as well. That's probably because Randy, his son Sam, and they had another guy that lived with them named Kevin Harris. He was just a troubled youth that they took in as a family. But those were the two boys that lived there. And then Randy and Vicky had two daughters named Sarah and Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Rachel. But then there was a baby that came along as well towards the end named Elishaba.
That's a fun name.
That is that like to go. You can watch the radicalization happen. Like you got Sarah, Rachel, Sammy, Elishaba.
Right. One of those is different than the others.
But that was the name of their kids. But I guess Randy and the kids, the boys, Kevin and Sammy, they would go outside and just start fucking cracking off rounds.
Why not?
15 acres is a lot of land, but 15 acres is not enough land to go out and just start randomly cracking off a rifle,
right?
A gun, or whatever you felt like shooting at that time. Yeah, but a lot of this was stemming from property disputes as well. You have it was the mountains, so the property lines weren't very clear to Randy and his neighbors. So there were some brief disputes over who owned what portions of the land. Now, Randy also had a habit of firing off the guns, like we said. One neighbor reported to the police that Randy announced his decision to kill President Reagan.
Jeez.
I'm up here in this mountain with my fort jacket on, and I'm going to kill the fucking president.
Wrong answer, Randy. That's fucking retarded, okay? Now, he didn't stop there. He said he was going to go one step further. And after he killed Ronald Reagan, he said he was going to kill the governor of Idaho. It's probably it's a guy in a corn, like dressed up as a fucking potato. Like, Mr. Planters wears a top hat with a monocle. The governor of Idaho is just a man in a potato costume.
Just a big Mr. Potato
really
Head.
Shiny shoes. His feet are sweet potatoes.
Shove this ear into my hole, boy.
His first name is French. His last name is Fry.
Hi-oh.
Mr. Fry, I'm going to kill you. My name's Randy. Now, this obviously got on the radar of the U.S. Secret Service. They weren't so much, they didn't care about Ronald Reagan getting killed because he'd already been shot once and he fucking survived. So they knew that he was a fucking trooper.
You ain't killing him.
Right.
Good
You're not
luck.
taking him down. He's got the L.A. looks to him. Not the hair gel, but the actual L.A. looks. Randy said this was all a goddamn a smear campaign, and he demanded the Secret Service agent investigating him write him a fucking apology letter.
Oh,
You got some big old balls. He
Good for
said,
him.
I don't know no jujitsu or no karate, but you need to write me a fucking apology letter.
He just tells us, who demands the Secret Service, you need to show some remorse for your actions.
I want a formal apology written in a letter.
If it ain't written in green crayon, I'm going to shove it up your ass. Because I don't like black crayons, and I can't read white crayons. If you're going to use a white crayon, make sure you don't put it on black construction paper, because I don't like that shit either.
God damn it, Randy. Randy's a perfect name for a racist,
It
too,
really
I
is.
believe.
That's so fitting.
Now, at the same time of these occurrences, there was an Aryan Nation right-wing movement that was going on in northern Idaho.
You think?
Of all the places.
I would have never guessed.
Now, I am not familiar with the way the Aryan Nation runs on the outside. Rob and I both worked in he worked in the jail system.
Yeah.
I worked in the prison system. I know how the Aryan Nation runs in the prison system. I would not say it's similar to how they run on the outside.
Right.
Because inside the prison system, like, hey, I need some cigarettes. We should all just start fucking each other. That's how it works in prison. It doesn't.
Sounds about right.
For what the Aryan Nation says and what they're supposed to be, from my eyes as a correction officer watching everything unfold, they don't necessarily, they go places together in groups, but when they do their business and all that stuff, they're more than happy to do business and have sex with whatever color, race, or creed in the prison system. Now, whether that's I could be wrong about that. I could be completely wrong, and that's just something that I've made up in my head. So don't take that to heart if you are an Aryan Nation member.
If you're in prison in the Aryan Brotherhood, we don't know what we're talking about.
Right. Just quit fucking listening, you fucking dickhead racist. And this is taken directly from that Famous Trials website. It says members of an Aryan Nation splinter group called the Order embarked on a crime spree that included bank and armored car robberies, counterfeiting, synagogue bombings, and 2 murders, including the killing of a popular Jewish radio talk show host in Denver, Alan Berg. Indictments and prosecutions followed, but bombings continued, and the federal government was determined to find those responsible. When Randy Weaver showed up at the Aryan Nations Congress in Hayden Lake in July '86, stand up for 1986, the fact was noticed by the BATF informant, who was also in attendance at the gathering. Now, in their article here, they call it the BATF, but it's the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, essentially the ATF.
ATF, yeah.
Eventually, Randy would meet Kenneth Fedeli, or as he would know Kenneth, this is the name that Kenneth went by, Gus Magasono. Now, Gus...
I think if I was named Kenneth, I would want to go by Gus, too.
They met on and off for several years, and in October of 1989, Randy expressed that he was kind of hard up for some cash. So Kenneth, or Gus as he known him, was actually an undercover informant for the ATF. He offered Randy money in exchange for some sawed-off shotguns.
Hey.
Now, there's a back and forth here about who ordered what. If you read, Randy says that this guy kind of, when Randy testified, he said it was all the ATF informants. It was kind of his doings. He's like, hey, I need some guns. You got some guns? Randy's like, I don't have shit. And then this guy's like, well, I need some sawed-off shotguns. If you get some shotguns, can you saw them off and sell them to me? I know you need some money. And Randy's like, I don't really want to do that. And this guy kept on pushing the issue. And eventually, you know, what I say to my kids, if your sister told you to jump off a fucking bridge, would you do it? Someone told Randy to jump off a fucking bridge. He did it. He made the sawed-off shotguns. 2 weeks later, they met, and they exchanged the sawed-off shotguns, and I believe it was in a park somewhere. But in June of 1990, 2 ATF agents tried to flip Randy. They tried to get Randy to turn on the Aryan Brotherhood and become an informant for the ATF.
Uh-oh.
They used the gun sale as leverage. Randy he said, Mama ain't raised no goddamn bitch. Y'all can go to fucking hell. So he agreed that he was not going to assist the ATF in any of their confidential informant shit.
Attaboy.
He said, I ain't no fucking snitch. I ain't no bitch, so you got the wrong one. Randy, in his interview that I've got it, there's a couple clips here. I'm not going to play them, but you can go listen to them. There's one event where Randy's doing a speech at a Texas gun club or some shit like that, and he's talking about trying to get flipped by the ATF, and he's like, I told him I ain't doing it. He said, he said, you go straight to hell. You stick it up your ass. You know,
I ain't no rat.
I ain't no rat. God damn it. So they used the leverage from the gun sale, the sawed-off shot. You know, he sold the 2 sawed-off shotguns to the confidential informant. They said, we've got you on that, buddy. So you need to fucking help us out. Randy said, I ain't doing that shit. Vicky composed a letter to the Aryan Nation. She found out what Randy was dabbling in, so then she also found out that there was, you know, informants out there trying to make deals. So she composed a letter to the Aryan Nations. This is, quote, Aryan Nations and all other brethren of the Anglo-Saxon race. And she warned them that the ATF agents were looking for snitches. This fucking infuriated the ATF that she was writing these letters. Now, to add to the dirt that the Weavers were kicking in their face, Vicky also filed an affidavit with the Boundary County Clerk, which that's the county they lived in, Boundary County. It says, quote, legal notice that we believe we may have to defend ourselves and our family from physical attacks on our lives by the federal government. ATF agents were understandably reluctant to simply drive up to the Weavers' long dirt driveway and attempt an arrest there. So she, so fucking crazy, okay? Rob Dog has one of those wives where if there's a problem in a restaurant, I'm like, hey, our food's fucked up. And they're like, okay, we'll fix it for you. But before that, my wife is like, you want me to take care of it? I'm like, no, please, God.
I'm the same way.
I
Yep.
will fucking take care of this my goddamn self. Please don't.
I won't even say that. I'll just be like, no, just leave it alone. I'll eat it.
Yeah, that hair right there. I love hair pie. Give it here.
Please, God, don't say anything.
Put that hair in my mouth. Jesus. So I believe that's what Randy has on his hands here. We like to call them, wow, she's a little bit wild, okay?
Yeah.
She's a little wild. But she writes this letter. She writes a fucking affidavit, a legal notice that says we are prepared to defend ourselves from these fucking informants of the ATF. We're not standing for it. If they come up on our fucking property, we're going to smoke them. She didn't necessarily say we're going to kill anyone. But at this point, he says, I'm not cooperating with the ATF. I'm not going to be a confidential informant. So they have a warrant on their hands for the sale of the sawed-off shotguns. He's due to be put into custody for these sawed-off shotgun, for, those crimes that he committed selling the guns. With that in mind, for the ATF, they posed another plan. They disguised themselves as stranded motorists.
Okay.
After a neighbor, this is how you know you got some bitch-ass neighbors. The neighbors radioed down to the ATF agents and said that Randy was coming down the mountain. So they posed as stranded motorists. They're in the roadway. They're like, hey, we need help. Randy pulls over to help the stranded motorists. And they obviously do what, this is a felony warrant at this point. So they execute a felony, like a felony traffic stop, essentially. And they take him into custody at gunpoint. The next day, he appeared in court. He pled not guilty. He was released on an unsecured $10,000 bond and given a court date. Very important here. He was given a court date of February 20th, 1991, although the paperwork that he was given was showing a court date of March 20th. So he was given a court date of February 20th. The paperwork he was given said March 20th.
They straight up bamboozling.
Yeah, they said, no.
No.
Now that's fucked up, man.
Gonna catch you slipping.
That is completely fucked up.
Yeah.
Randy knew he had no intentions of ever appearing for this shit as well. From
Right.
the very onslaught, he said,
I ain't going to no shit like that. I ain't doing this shit.
it was more like, I ain't.
It's not happening.
I've been looking at my calendar here, and I got jujitsu lessons that night. I'm going to whip somebody's motherfucking ass is what I'm going to do. Randy knew, like I said, he wasn't going to appear for this shit. Vicky started firing off letters at that point, letter after letter after letter, to the U.S. Attorney for Idaho, addressed, and this is the way she referred to herself in these letters. She referred to herself as a servant of the Queen of Babylon.
Oh, nice.
She promised that they will not bow to your evil commandments, whether we live or whether we die.
That's a down bitch right there.
So, Vicky is writing a check that Randy's ass is
Yeah.
going to have to cash. is what
She's
doing.
about that life.
But she's not she's got a fucking mullet and a nightie, from what I can tell. So they never saw her out rummaging around with the guns. They only saw the boys out walking around with the guns. So she's the fucking guy that, we all had that friend, Charlie Anderson, back in high school, where he would start a fucking fight and he would get his big, one of his boys that was always down, Nicolicious, to come over and be like, hey, we about to fight these motherfuckers. I'm like, all right, let's fight. Let's get down and dirty. Let's fucking rock some knuckles. Cash some checks, snap some necks. Let's get down, Charlie. Then you look in your rearview mirror and Charlie's fucking flip-flopping away in the opposite direction while you got 7 motherfucking Debos ready to rip your head off. And Charlie listens, too. I love this shit. He's going to call me and be like, I never left you to fucking fight.
He's gonna cuss you out.
I know. I never fucking left you behind. Now all these people think that I'm a fucking asshole.
I just love to say he flip-flopped out.
Dude was never in anything besides flip-flops either. Yeah.
As they're smacking one. Walking.
Now, these letters didn't help with the fact that Randy, he did not appear for the court dates. So there was obviously a warrant issued, and with the continuous threatening letters from the Queen of motherfucking Babylon, Deputy U.S. Marshal Dave Hunt, not Mike Hunt, but Dave Hunt, enlisted the help of the Special Operations Group, or SOG, as they like to be called.
I like to call him Saul.
I was wearing 3 pairs of sweatpants. My balls got really soggy. So I thought we would call the name of this strategic strike team SOG, because how soggy my balls were. That's how you name your strike team. This is by the how your balls are hanging that day.
How they're feeling.
Yeah. The Weavers went on to have another baby in 1991. Her name was Elishaba, as we said. I looked up Elishaba on Facebook. She's there. I did not write her. I did not want to.
Sorry for your name.
But there, like we said before, at the time of all this, there was Sarah, who was 15, Sammy, who was 13, and then 9-year-old Rachel. And then there was Kevin Harris, who was a troubled teenager that lived with them months at a time. Now, the presence, thank fucking God, the presence of all these children complicated the matter for the marshals.
Yeah, they couldn't just go in there guns a-blazing.
Yeah, which is, I commend the marshals for that. By the end of the story, you're going to be like, I don't know whose fucking side I'm on.
Yeah.
And that's why we love this story. That's why I love this story so much, is because there's no right side here. They were both in the wrong. Both of them were so far off where they needed to be.
Yeah, everybody's soggy.
So at this point, right, the SOG team is there. It's so soggy. So at this point, we're locked in a complete fucking standoff. The kids are walking around with fucking guns. Sammy and Kevin, they're doing, like, these U.S. Marshals are doing surveillance on the Weavers, okay? The Weavers knew that they were under constant surveillance. There was literally hundreds of hours of footage of these people living their life, just walking around their compound there, walking around their property, that I think it was the ATF was in charge of the surveillance, but they did hundreds upon hundreds of hours. They had hidden cameras in the trees up by their house. The Weavers were under constant surveillance, which...
Hey, Captain, I got this one pointing outside their bedroom. I want to see that mullet flapping in the wind.
She came out, she squatted in the yard, took a piss. These people, and there was a shed on the property, and it was called, Randy calls it, I think he called it a tool shed, but when they built the place, it was a birthing shed. And the thing about the birthing shed is anytime Sarah or Vicky, the mom, they were on their period, they had to go out to the birthing shed, and they had to live out in the shed during their period because, according to their religious beliefs, they were not pure. Like, they were nasty and unpure at that time, and they weren't allowed to be in the house with the other people. So they were made to alienate themselves from the family. They had to essentially live in the birthing shed. The birthing shed was also used for giving birth. This is where... I believe Elishaba, where they gave birth to her.
Is that where the name came from?
What?
The birthing shed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there was... the full intentions of building the shed was for it to be for the women.
Yeah.
For, when they bleed, they go on their menstrual cycle.
That's so wild.
It is... And these... And that's why I want to get on the Weaver's side almost. Aside from the racist bullshit, I want to get on their side, because what they wanted to do, they wanted to remove themselves from society. Be like, fuck this shit. I want to live up in the mountains. I want to live off the land. If you, I feel like if you want to do that, if you want to be self-sustained up on a mountaintop like that, fucking grow your own goddamn water if that's what you do up there. You got some groundwater, you got a well, you got fucking corn, potatoes. It's Idaho.
We're not even allowed to collect fucking rainwater around here.
You can motherfucking eat fried potatoes.
Right.
If you want to go up there and not, they're like, we don't need your hospitals. We got a motherfucking birthing shed up here. I got a fart jacket in case she blows me off the side of my bed again. We're up here living in the... I don't think you should have to pay taxes. Or if, I guess if you have a vehicle and you have to venture into town, I guess you should have to have proper licensing on that vehicle. But
yeah,
I don't think that if there's some underhanded... If you think you're dealing with another person up in the mountains that just hangs out and kills fucking bobcats and eats potatoes, you can sell them a fucking shotgun if that's what you want to do. And that's why I kind of want to get on the side of the Weavers, but then the racist bullshit, and they build a fucking birthing shed. Like, you're ragging, you take your nasty ass outside. And, when the Red River's flowing, you got to take the brown dirt road. You feel me, dog? You feel me, Rob, dog?
Yeah, you ever try to clean blood out of wood? That shit's hard.
You got a birthing shed? Goddamn, bloodied the goddamn thing up.
Sister's out there bleeding on my goddamn walls.
She's a squirter.
Aww.
Now, the period stuff is taboo for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's like there was so much period stuff on the Facebook this week. It really, I'm numb to it at this point.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I shared an article about how there was this bisexual photographer that's documenting these women that are eating each other out while they're on their periods.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, I'm not down with that.
Yeah.
I think it's cool to do your thing. If that's your thing,
Can you imagine
do your
that
thing.
the smell in that room?
I like to wipe my boogers on walls inside of bathrooms at restaurants. So the next guy that comes behind me is like, man, that guy had a big old fucking booger. He had a big old nose goblin. I like to blow my Rice Krispies all over the fucking walls.
I usually just piss on the toilet seats.
I piss on the toilet paper too.
Oh man, that's
Dude,
dirty.
My most favorite review you've ever had is like, I tried to listen to this podcast, but 15 minutes in, all they've talked about is pissing on paper towels. Favorite review ever.
Thank you.
Yes. But let's get back on track here. Now we got the kids. They want to be sympathetic to the fact that they have kids, but these kids are trudging around the property with guns and shit. So they have to think they have miniature psychopaths because anyone walking around with a gun is a psychopath. If that's what the internet has taught me. Isn't that right, Rob Dog?
That's very true.
He's a psychopath. He's got a gun in the wilderness. He's not trying to take care of his family. He's not trying to kill game and food. He's trying to kill someone. No, that's not what he was doing. They live in the fucking mountains.
Yeah, they're the only ones
they
out
lived
there.
off the land. So
Right.
the ATF's like, they got guns, man. They're out there killing rabbits and squirrels. Imagine what they'll do to us. By early 1992, all of the media outlets grabbed this thing. There's Geraldo Rivera. There was a bunch of other people, media pundits from way back then that were, a big deal that grabbed onto this. It made it a national issue. A lot of people knew what was going on at Ruby Ridge. Now, Randy, he would not talk to anyone about what was going on in Boners Ferry, but he did talk to one reporter from the Boners Ferry newspaper. He said the feds wanted to keep him quiet in reference to some stuff that he knew, so that's why they were trying to do this. He also wanted to make it abundantly clear that he was not a white supremacist, although, well, we'll touch on that later. He said that they were attempting to escape religious persecution, but now they were cornered, and they were cornered up in the mountains.
It sounds like it.
They had agents all around them. They had cameras in all the trees around their property. But on April 21st, 1992, this is when this shit fucking finally reaches a goddamn head. The U.S. Marshals SOG team of 6 fucking guys went onto the Weavers' property.
Extra soggy.
You so extra.
They were real sweaty.
I went down there, grabbed a hold of my bag, and pulled it out. That thing was so soggy, man.
I had to wring out my bag.
I wring it out in a container, and I got salt, man, for lunch. We need it for my balls. You ever taste how salty your balls are before? I eat a lot of pineapple juice, so my balls taste good, man. That's what I do for my lady. Now, the Weavers had to, the SOG team, or as we like to call them, the Soggy team.
The soggy boys.
They wanted to scout out the Weavers' property. They wanted to check out different tactical positions to do whatever they wanted to do at this point. And I do put this into hard quotations, that they were scouting out the property. At about 10:45, near the end of their 10:45 in the morning, near the end of their operation, 3 of the marshals were heading down the hill to call the mission over at that point. The Weaver's family yellow lab, a dog, if for those of you that don't have fucking dogs, a yellow lab is a dog. His name was Stryker. He was alerted to the presence of the people, and he ran into their direction. So Randy Weaver states in his interviews that Stryker was a very good guard dog, and he was very watchful and very mindful of things going on around the property, whether that was bear, whether it was a man dressed up as a fucking potato. He was always very anxious to go find out what was going on around the property. And he was alerted that there were 3 guys down the path, dressed up as probably in their fucking boonies and shit, or their tree suits, look like fucking bushes running around.
The ghillie suit.
The soggy teams out there running around.
There's just 3 giant potato men.
But, yeah.
You gotta watch out for the Idaho potato man.
We're all out of russets. We're out here looking for Yukon gold. Need some Yukon gold potatoes out here, man. But following after the family dog was Sammy Weaver and Kevin Harris. According to the trial that later would come about, it said around 85% of the time that anytime Sammy Weaver and Kevin Harris were outside the house, they had firearms in their hands. So they go chasing after Stryker because they thought that Stryker possibly had a squirrel. They thought Stryker found food, essentially. And when you're living on a mountain like that,
You can't have that.
you can't let the food get away. And that's exactly, it could have been, if it was a man in a potato, I'd have shot him for food.
Yeah, why not?
But the agents, Arthur Roderick, Larry Cooper, and 15-year soggy veteran Billy Deegan were cornered by the dog. These 3 men with rifles were cornered by a yellow lab. That's so stressful for them. I can fucking imagine. A yellow lab, usually you put your hand down and they start fucking licking it, and then you can do whatever you want to them.
Right. Should have been walking around looking like twisted chips.
Yeah, you scratched them on the ear. You could have pet them on the head. You could have put peanut butter on your balls and let them lick it off. Yellow labs will literally, they're the ultimate family dog,
Yeah,
dude.
they're really nice dogs.
Jesus Christ. This is where reports and testimonies obviously go in several different directions. From the government's testimony, it said that Harris walked up. Kevin Harris, the youth that lived with the Weavers, he walked up behind Stryker. Federal Marshal Larry Cooper stood up and shouted, "Back off." He said, "Back off, U.S. Marshals." Deegan joined in with the shouting as well. At this point, the group began to exchange fire. If you ask who fired the first shot, you'll get all different answers. The official report from our government states that Kevin Harris did a fucking barrel roll and then shot and fatally wounded Deegan. So some fucking...
They're fucking shooting each other.
18, 17-year-old kid.
Barrel roll.
Yeah.
He just fucking dives and rolls.
I would have never been able to do that barrel roll if I had not gone through Randy Weaver's jiu-jitsu training, strict training. And good thing I'm young while I've done this jiu-jitsu training. And the only thing that's made me stronger is during all my training, I wore a fart jacket.
Luckily, I've perfected my potato shape, so I'm nice and round. It was a nice, easy, successful roll.
Very easy barrel roll. I could not stop, though.
So I just started shooting to try to slow myself down.
When I got shot in the fucking neck. Now, Cooper, like we said, the government states that Harris did a barrel roll and then shot Federal Marshal Deegan. Larry Cooper, Marshal Cooper responded with 6 rounds towards Harris, but they were said to have missed. For whatever reason, further down the path, Arthur Roderick, the 3rd Marshal, says, "Fuck it," and he just kills the dog.
Aww.
And what he says he killed the dog because the dog would give away their locations. Well, the fucking people already know where you're at.
You don't think the gunshots would give away the location?
But right, and that's not. I don't like the saddest part about all this.
Yeah, the dog died.
No, it's that.
No,
how bad the birthing shed smelled.
That's very true. Maybe it kind of drove them insane.
Second saddest thing is a dog dying. Anytime a dog dies, we get sad.
Right.
At some point during this melee, what can't be accounted for is the fact that Randy's 13-year-old son, Sammy Weaver, was shot in the back and mortally wounded. At the time, it's alleged that they didn't know they shot Sammy until days later when they discovered his body in the birthing shed.
Yeah, motherfucker shooting and doing barrel rolls. How the fuck do you expect he got shot?
Right. Now, after he was shot and killed, Sammy, the Weaver family was able to get him back up the hill onto their property, and they put him in the birthing shed because anytime someone bleeds in the Weaver family, that's where we put him, is in the birthing shed. They put his dead body in the birthing shed. Federal Marshal Larry Cooper gave testimony that Marshal Deegan, Deegan is the one that died. He was shot by Kevin Harris during the gunfire, and Billy Deegan died. Cooper says that Deegan never fired a shot. When they checked Deegan's magazine for the investigation, he was missing 7 fucking rounds. So obviously, Larry Cooper's testimony, fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
He didn't shoot no gun. Missing 7 bullets. He ate those. He fed them to the dog to get him to be quiet. Fed him the bullets. Kevin Harris, he gave a different story. He said the dog got shot. And once the dog got shot, Sammy Weaver, being an emotional 13-year-old boy, he shouted, "You killed my dog, you son of a bitch." And then he started firing at the agents. 13-year-old Sammy Weaver did.
Talk about not giving a shit,
and
man.
He only fired at Deegan to protect Sammy.
Okay.
Because Kevin says he only, Kevin...
In defense.
No bones about it, he killed Marshal Deegan.
Right.
But he says the reason he shot Deegan is to protect Sammy because they all started firing at Sammy.
Right.
Oh. Now, there is also the pretense here that they possibly didn't know these guys were federal marshals. They knew they were under surveillance. They knew that Randy had a warrant, but they can play dumb, like they didn't know who or what they were doing or what they were up to.
Unless they identified themselves before they started shooting.
And the federal agents said they did identify themselves, but they also said that Deegan didn't fire any bullets, but he was missing 7 bullets.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense.
But people like that in those positions don't lie, Rob.
I'm not soggy, though, so what do I know?
I'm definitely not soggy. Why would I know? Now, this confrontation that went on, this exchange of gunfire, made its way back to Washington, D.C. The FBI goes back and revisits and revises their rules of engagement. They change the rules from you don't shoot until someone's fucking shooting at you. They revise the rules of engagement to say shoot to kill any adult holding a firearm.
Ooh,
that's simple.
That's a big step.
You going to get shot.
Right.
You have to get fucked up. Now, the FBI's hostage rescue team, or HRT, was dispatched and arrived early the next morning. Within a matter of minutes of FBI sniper Lynn Perucci taking his position, Randy, Sarah, and Kevin walked to the birthing shed to open the shed to observe Sammy's body. If you listen to, and I'm going to play the clip here after we go through what happens here. I think Randy kind of portrays it like he went out by himself and then was followed shortly behind. But when Randy reached for the door to the shed, a shot rang out, going through the shed and ripping through Randy's arm. Sarah, Randy, and Kevin made a beeline back to the house where they were greeted by Randy's wife, Vicky. Vicky flung the door open for them, and then another shot rang out. Instantly, the agents said that they could hear blood-curdling shrieking that was coming from the cabin. What the FBI sharpshooter, what he didn't know at the time, the second bullet entered Vicky's skull, went through her brain, exited her head, and then lodged itself in Kevin's shoulder.
Damn.
All while she clutched her infant daughter to her chest, who was 10 months old at the time. Within hours, Kevin was begging Randy to kill him to take the pain away, which Randy could not do. And right now, we're going to insert a quick synopsis of Randy's side of those events.
Okay.
We'd laid my son in the guest shed, on a bed in the guest shed, and I decided to go and be with Sam for a little while, and I reached up to turn the latch on the outside of the door of the guest shed. I got shot in the back through this shoulder, and first thought was like, that really hurt. And my second thought was, I'm dead meat. They're just murdering us now. And it sounded like the guy was standing 8-10 foot behind me, because that sound traveled with a bullet. It was real loud, and it came off that building right there too. So I turned around, and my next thought was, I'm going to spit on this sucker. I had a rifle in my left hand, but I didn't feel like shouldering it. I was just going to try and spit on this guy and call him a coward before I shot him again. Well, I turned around, I couldn't see anybody, and it was just real quiet. And Sarah, my daughter, yells, what happened? Because Sarah and Kevin, my stepson, followed me out. They was outside with me. She said, what happened, Dad? I said, I've been shot. About that time, Vicky, my wife, came out the door of the cabin and yelled. She says, what happened? I said, I've been shot. And she goes, about the second or third time I ever heard her cuss, and she just yelled, you bastards. She didn't know who she was yelling at, but she knew they was out there. Very nice lady. I heard her cuss 2 or 3 times in that couple of days, especially after they killed Sam. Anyway, she held the door open for us to the cabin, and Sarah was pushing on me, saying, get in the house, get in the house. Kevin was running right behind her, or kind of a half run. I don't know if he's a horse, maybe call it a can. I think that's what it was. Anyway, I just stepped inside the kitchen, boom, and Sarah was right behind me. I felt a commotion behind me. Kevin had actually knocked her out of the way, and he fell clear inside the house because his bullet come through the door, the window of the door, through Vicky's head, into Kevin's left arm and into his chest. Killed Vicky. She went down holding our 10-month-old baby in her arms. Elizabeth was underneath her when she hit the floor. Kevin was laying on the floor in the kitchen. And So I knew Vicky was down. I knew something wrong with her, and I grabbed the baby out from underneath her, and the baby was all right. She had jawbone and blood all over her head and on her clothes. And Sarah had been hit with jawbone and blood, and she thought and they probably broken glass too. She thought she'd been hit, but she was all right. But Vicky was dead. Kevin was wounded serious, and in the next 8 days that he was in the cabin, 8 or 9 days, before he surrendered, asked me to shoot him a couple of times because it was so painful for him, which I couldn't do, of course.
Yeah, so that's,
Jeez Louise.
like you just said, watch his entire family get evaporated
Yeah.
in an instant.
It's unbelievable. I couldn't imagine how I would feel. I think I'd have to fire back.
Some Punisher style shit right there.
Yeah.
And it makes you,
John Wick.
hearing this, you kind of,
You kind of feel bad for him.
you feel bad for him. He's got a fucked up way, man. But, he's wrong for his beliefs about, race and whatnot.
Yeah, we're definitely agreeing on that.
But he's not wrong for just wanting to be left alone.
Yeah.
And he should have been left alone. He should have went down the mountain and appeared for his failure to appear on the gun charges.
Mhm.
He should have appeared for that shit. But he didn't. And
But to get lit up for that is kind of...
eventually they hold this all against his neck during the trial. White supremacy groups flocked to the scene to show support for Weaver, and if there's anyone you don't want there showing support for someone, it's the fucking the white power people.
The white power people.
And they were also there to show their disdain towards the acts that was committed by the government. Now the hostage team, this is where it gets really fucked up, man. They didn't know that they killed Vicky. They were using Vicky as part of their coaxing out the family strategy. On the third day, the negotiator, he said, quote, this is after Vicky's lying in the fucking house dead. He says, good morning, Mrs. Weaver. This is the hostage negotiator on a bullhorn. He says, good morning, Mrs. Weaver. We had pancakes this morning. And what did you have for breakfast? Why don't you send the children out for some pancakes, Mrs. Weaver?
She had a fucking bullet to her head. That's what she got to eat.
This undoubtedly pissed off the remaining Weavers inside the house. And Sarah I watched a lot of interviews with Sarah, who was 16 at the time. She said that she thought this was a fucking slap in the face to them at this point. After Vicky was shot, and after Kevin was shot in the arm, they holed up in the house and they hid. They kept their heads down, and they could hear people underneath the house. They could hear people up against the windows.
Oh, God.
All of this while they're just hiding inside the house. This was a intense standoff, man. This was days and days. The way you flow through the story, this seems like almost like a lackadaisical style standoff, but this was hot and heavy for days, man. She said that like I just said, that there were people all around the house. They were underneath the house. They could hear them rustling around. She thought they were putting like listening instruments underneath the house to hear what they were doing. Kevin and Randy did work together to release a 6-page record of how they believe all the events unfolded. They wanted their story out there so everyone can hear it. So they didn't, there was no question about what and why they were not leaving the house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sarah says in her interviews at this point, she says, why do I want to fucking surrender? They're blowing all of our heads off. The second that I step outside and say, okay, I give up, they're going to smoke me. I don't want to die at this point. And I could rationally think, yes, she has a very valid point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The hostage, the sniper, in his testimony, he said that he didn't see anyone and that he didn't know he shot Vicky. And I think he also said that he didn't see anyone in the house, and that's why he shot. That's why he was okay to shoot. That's why he said, I thought it was okay to take the shot because I didn't think there was anyone inside the house. Now, on August 30th, Kevin surrendered for medical attention, and the day after, Randy and the rest of his family, they all surrendered as well. They were not coaxed out by the FBI hostage response team. There was a political, he was a presidential nominee, well, not a nominee. He was someone that was running for president. His name was Bo Gritz. He was a far right-wing presidential candidate. He was a former Green Beret, so he did have that in common with Randy. I do believe Randy actually was a Green Beret as well. Bo Gritz was this presidential, he was trying to become president. And he said, we'll get you out of there. There's some fucked up shit the government has done here, but come on out because we have you an attorney by the name of Jerry Spence. Either Jerry or Gary. It's Gerry. We're going to go Jerry.
I say Jerry.
We're going to say Jerry.
Yeah.
He said, we have an attorney by the name of Jerry Spence. So when you think of ultimate attorneys, you think, Johnny Cochran? There's lots of other attorneys that come to mind before Jerry Spence. But Jerry Spence, he was an absolute rock star attorney. He was right now he's 89 years old. He's still alive. This fucking guy has never lost a criminal or defense case in his entire fucking career. 89 years old.
Good for him.
Never lost a case. He has, however, he's lost civil cases. The last civil case he lost was in 1969. Pretty good fucking record.
Yeah, he's a Floyd Mayweather of lawyers.
If I'm going to surrender, someone says, we have you an attorney, all expenses paid, here's our guy, then I might think about it in this position, say, I got Jerry Spence out there.
And then they shoot you. No.
I got my fur jacket on.
He was a bluff.
Deflected. Pieces of shit. Take your soggy team, go back down the mountain.
You like them pancakes, boy?
Bo Gritz, the presidential, whatever he was.
I feel like you got to say his name like Bo Gritz.
Bo Gritz. I wasn't there eating my Bo Gritz. He got all the fucking white people fired up. Quote, He said, there's a bureaucrat up in here that's guilty. Somebody is going to have to be brought to justice. I believe we're going to find a fat bureaucrat authorized all this to go down. So he says, the government did all this. Kevin Harris, he's the one that originally shot and killed Federal Marshal Deegan. He was indicted for murder of Deputy Marshal Deegan, and he was issued a court-appointed attorney named Chuck Peterson and David Nevin. Now, the U.S. prosecuting attorney was Ron Howe. He portrayed the Weavers as racist, as anti-government. There was all kinds of there was a lot of different directions that he could have went as far as prosecuting the case, but he went down the easiest travel road. Was they were racists and they hated the fucking government. It wasn't the fact that he sold a fucking gun and he had a warrant and he didn't want to come outside for the warrant. He's trying to rouse the feelings of the jury. He believes that there was a criminal enterprise formed by Randy, that he was doing all these gun sales. The thing about all this, Randy never fired a shot. Randy sold a sawed-off shotgun, which happens probably dozens of times in America every day.
Definitely.
And some people say that it was cut 5 inches too short, but then a lot of other people say, depending upon what laws you go by, this gun was literally a fraction of an inch too short to where they were illegal. It's not illegal to sell a gun in America. It is, however, illegal to sell a sawed-off shotgun. There has to be a certain length to the barrel. He done fucked up.
Aaron.
Yeah. Randy Weaver's attorney, Jerry Spence, he stood on the grounds that Randy was exercising freedom of religion and self-defense.
Okay.
The government pursued his beliefs, and Spence thought that they were playing into his hands by going down the road that he was, against the government, and that he just wanted to be fucking left alone. Spence thought that was playing into his hands. Now, on April 12th, 1993, the opening argument started. Prosecutors said the murder was cold-blooded. The defense, they came out with their story, and they told a story that Sammy was trying to run home, that after the guns started firing, that Randy came outside and he said, boys, they're firing at you, get back up here. And that's when Sammy, we don't say it very much in this story, but Sammy was shot in the fucking back. Sammy wasn't shot in the chest. He wasn't shot in the fucking face. He got shot in the back. You get shot in the back when you're running away or you're trying to hide.
Yep.
U.S. Marshals shouldn't fucking kill children when they're trying to run away or hide. It doesn't matter if they're holding a gun.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
It doesn't make sense. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter if you're holding a gun. If you're an infant firing trying to shoot someone, and the only way for you to save your life is to shoot the person back, then by God, defend your fucking life.
Yeah.
But this smells like shit all the way up and down. Now, Larry Cooper, you'll remember Larry Cooper, he's one of the three marshals that were on the side of the mountain during the firefight, was one of the first witnesses the prosecution brought to the stand. He said that Kevin Harris, shot Marshall Deegan, which no one denies that. But he also says that he shot Deegan immediately after Deegan identified himself as a federal marshal. So he said, stop coming towards me. I'm a federal marshal. And Kevin Harris said, well, fuck all that. Barrel roll, bang, bang, bitch. And that's how that went down. He said Larry Cooper also went on to testify. He said he tried to save Marshall Deegan, but he said after 3 to 4 heartbeats that he was gone, essentially. During cross-examination, he was very surprised to hear that Deegan had 7 missing bullets, like we stated earlier in the story, because he said in his testimony that no, he didn't fire any fucking bullets. But he did. So he was very surprised to hear that. Now the court-appointed attorney for Harris, attorney Nevin, said they had silencers on this mission because they planned to kill the dog all along. And that was the thought from Randy and the family, is that these marshals went up into the mountain specifically to kill the dog because the dog was so alert of everything going on in the property that when they did carry out this raid, they didn't want to have to deal with the dog. So the defense was saying that they went up specifically to kill the dog.
Yeah, and if they were monitoring the property, that's something they would have picked up on. So they would have already known about.
Well, a long time ago.
Yeah. They would know how alert and everything the dogs were, so that makes sense.
And there was one question that was very damning to the prosecution. Does it make sense that the dog was shot after Deegan was already dead? And Rob and I went back and forth about that earlier. It doesn't make any sense of why they shot the fucking dog after Deegan had already been killed. They said, he was trying to give away, that the dog might have given away their location. Their location was already blown.
Yeah, there was gunfire. I mean,
and then there was also called into question Vicky's letters, that she was the queen of motherfucking Babylon shit. But that also falls under the freedom of speech. You can't threaten people.
Right.
But you can say, I'm prepared to defend myself if I need to. That's not illegal to say that. But if you say, I'm going to come to your house and blow your fucking brains out, that's menacing. That's harassment. You can't say that. But you can say, I'm willing to defend my God-given birthrights as an American.
Yeah, that's definitely not illegal.
It's not. There was video shown to the jury of Randy pushing a cart across the property with 14 guns, 4,500 rounds of ammo, and armor-piercing bullets. So Randy did have some fucking firepower up there. But the fact that he never fought back, even after his wife was killed, even after his son was killed, when he had essentially nothing else to fight for except for his 2 daughters, he didn't fight back. He didn't, return fire. He just hid. He just wanted to be left alone. And like we said before, Sammy and Kevin were shown to carry a rifle, or a gun of some type, 84% of the time that they were outside the house. They also said that Anthony Roderick, which we knew before, he indeed shot the dog. But during his examination, Arthur Roderick said he thought the dog might attack. He thought the dog might alert to their position, which their position was blown. And he said he didn't shoot the dog first. He said that wasn't the first thing that happened in the series of events, that the dog wasn't shot first. So in the Weaver's account, they shot the dog. Sammy says, why'd you shoot my fucking dog? And starts shooting at them because they shot his dog. He says that's not how it happened. The last deputy marshal to testify was not one of the 3 up on the mountain. He was down below, but he said it sounded like a distinct .223 round was fired. Now, what's damning about that is what the marshals were carrying that day, which would say that indeed,
right,
the marshal shot first before anybody else. And someone like that literally these guys drill all day long. They drill. And then once a fucking decade, something like this happens. So they listen to guns all day long. there's a very distinct sound between the rounds. The difference between a 9mm
And a 45.
and a fucking 45, yeah. Right? If you listen to that all day long, you're gonna be able to pick out the difference between the two. But like we said, there was rules of engagement that were changed, which kind of fucking muddies everything up here for everyone. There was no, during the standoff, there was no active shooting. There was the initial gunfight, but during the standoff, there was no violence or bullets exchanged except for the marshals just picking the family off, essentially. Now, the commander of the HRT, Richard Rogers, he was called to the stand, and he said he never considered what Idaho laws applied. He was operating under the federal guidelines that were put forth. Now, quote, he said, "I don't operate under state law. I operate under federal law, which supersedes state law." It's said that this fucking pissed the jury off, and it played a large part in their final determination. But finally, the sniper, Mr. Hiruchi, was called to the stand by the prosecution. He's the one that everyone wants to hear from. And when he came to court, Sniper Hiruchi, he was surrounded by 10 armed guards, and there was tons of Nazi support groups, Aryan Brotherhood type people that were there at the court for the proceedings. He thought what was conveyed to him is that Kevin Harris was positioning himself to shoot at helicopters that were over top of the property.
Fucking Grand Theft Auto.
So he was automatically on high alert and ready to fucking shoot and kill anyone that he saw as soon as he saw him. Now, when he killed Vicky, he says that he had no idea she was even there. One of the tactics that worked out wonderfully for the defense is Jerry Spence. He said, "I want you to take a second. These marshals said they heard 30 seconds of deafening, curdling, shrieking after the bullets. So I want everyone in this courtroom to be quiet for 30 seconds while we stare at the clock. And I want you to think for 30 seconds about your mother being shot in the head and the screams that would come from your children. And think about how powerful that would resonate with a fucking jury."
Oh, big time.
And 30 seconds is a long time for silence.
In that situation, especially? Yeah, definitely.
I've never been quiet for 30 seconds in my entire life, ever.
Never.
If you combine the amount of time I've been quiet in my life, it's probably been about 33 seconds. I think every second I've been quiet.
Yeah.
Including sleeping. Because I make a lot of noise when I'm sleeping, too. So that was a very powerful spot from that attorney. But after the sniper testimony, however, I believe it was the judge. I don't have it written down. It was either the judge or the prosecuting attorney. They returned to their office after, some very emotional testimony from the sniper.
Mm-hmm.
There was a very crude picture on the desk. It was a picture that Hirochi had drawn at a local hotel of the cabin with semicircles designating that he observed heads inside the cabin, which completely goes against his testimony that he didn't think anyone was inside the cabin. So they had to fly this motherfucker back from wherever he was at to recant his testimony and explain his drawing of why it had heads in the drawing. So that pokes major holes in all the stories.
You like perjury, boy?
You like perjury because you about to get fucked in the ass.
You about to get purged.
The prosecuting attorney said this was the absolute worst day in his entire career when this happened. Now, the defense was notified, obviously, and it created quite the conundrum in the trial.
Oh, yeah, I would assume.
The public defender went back and forth on whether he should put Kevin Harris on the stand. And a lot of times, Rob and I, we cover aliens, ghosts, conspiracies, true crime. And when we're reading about these trials, a lot of times the suspects don't go on the stand.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal for the attorneys to keep the suspects want to tell their side of the story if they ultimately, are innocent. But They want to get on the stand, but that gives the opportunity to make them look. They get the cross-examination.
They get the cross-examine, right.
And you can absolutely spread the butt cheeks and spit on the fucking chocolate rim and go to Pound Town on someone that is literally sitting on the edge of their seat, seeing if they're going to go to prison for the rest of your life. Because if that is the case, if Rob Dog or Delicious Nicolicious is on the trial and they're talking about sending us to the fucking pokey for the rest of our life, I will say...
I'm going to say something stupid.
No, I'll say stupid shit, but I will say whatever the fuck will get me out of that situation, whether it is the truth or not.
Right.
They'll be like, was there a candy bar that you ate? I'd be like, goddamn right there was, even though there wasn't. But the candy bar wrapper ties everything. I'll say whatever that I need to say. I'll lie. I don't want to go to prison for the rest of my life.
Hell no, that doesn't seem like fun.
I've been to prison for the rest. I've been to prison before. I have an apple bottom, Rob. I have a fantastic ass. I'm not an alpha male. I wouldn't want to be the leader of the Bloods or the Crips. I just wouldn't want to be fucked in the ass.
Yeah.
It hurts.
That doesn't sound like a good time. I'd rather do so many other things in my spare time than
done strip searches.
they get prison raped.
A lot of those guys have really big dicks.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've seen ones that have to be raveled, like they have to be cranked up like a garden hose. Think about that for a second.
Coiled up like a snake.
A man takes his pants and underwear off, and you hear flesh hit the ground. It's his dick. Not a leg. It's a dick. Oh, man. So where am I at in my notes here?
Who knows?
There was another big issue is they wanted to call Sarah to the stand for her testimony because they thought tapping into her brain, getting her to give her emotional testimony of her mother getting shot in the head, that would be fantastic for the defense. That would ultimately set it over the edge. But Sarah actively wore fucking swastikas and used the N-word towards black people.
Woo!
So Sarah was a no-go. If you watch interviews with Sarah now, she's very close to the Lord, and she's turned away from her N-word ways and her swastikas.
Her N-word ways.
I do believe. So they said, we can't get this fucking nasty swastika-wearing crotch scratching bitch up here. She's gonna fuck everything up. I'm glad that the tactics they use worked out because Sarah, she has obviously lived a wonderful life after this. We'll get into that here shortly, but they would portray Randy in a light that they weren't looking to do if they called Sarah to the stand. So they would think that he was raising his kids in a way that would make him instantly guilty of all these things, the hate crime stuff. Excuse me. The closing arguments occurred on June 15th. The original prosecuting attorney was fucking sick, and he couldn't do the closing arguments. He said, this motherfucker's so far gone, I'm out of here. I got sick. I got diarrhea of the dick. I got everything wrong with me. I'm not going to make it.
I'm going to spend some time in the period shed.
Yeah. I'm out here in the birthing shed, and I'm trying to have a butt baby. All I'm making is butt nuts. You know, if you play Angry Birds on the toilet for longer than 45 minutes, your asshole falls out. I'm too fat to turn around and get it back up in there. I get spasms and
my legs go numb.
I get Charlie horses when I have to wipe my ass to bend around. Could you imagine the fucking sheer pandemonium that would ensue if my asshole fell out and I couldn't reach it?
Oh man.
I would just flush it and hope the toilet takes it with it and just ask for a new asshole. Yeah. I'm gonna need a new one of those.
What I like was that I'm sitting there for so long and my elbows sit on my legs, and after I move my elbows, there's a divot in my thighs.
Yeah.
I better not do that anymore.
That's they call that the poop ravine. That's what that is right there. Oh man. So there was dramatic closing arguments from a stand-in prosecuting attorney and obviously one of the greatest trial attorneys of all time, Jerry Spence. The prosecution was trying to show that no matter what the consequences were, Randy was willing to let his family die. And the absolute resolve that he showed was the resolve that got his wife killed, that got his son killed, that got his friend almost killed, and almost got his daughters killed. That this resolve, this hard-headedness, is what caused all of this. The fact that he wouldn't appear for this fucking trial in the first place, all of this steadfast, hard-headed bullshit is what caused all this. There was a dramatic final argument from Jerry Spence. He says that all Randy Weaver was guilty of was being afraid. That he was afraid of the government, he was afraid of what they would do to him, and that he really hammered in the fact that marshals are not supposed to shoot children in the back, which I agree with.
I don't think anybody should be able to shoot kids in the back.
I don't think anyone should be shot in the back. Anywhere.
Yeah, right.
I don't think we should fucking shoot each other. How about that? I'll one-up that.
That makes sense.
On July 8th, the jury finally, they'd come to their decision. They voted to acquit Kevin Harris and Randy Weaver on all major charges. Randy was, however, found guilty on failure to appear, sentenced to 16 months in prison. And at this point, he'd already served 14 months in prison, so it was a little fucking wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, slam the door, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Even though the fact that he was given a wrong date to begin with for the failure to appear, I feel like they should have been able to go into more with that.
Old Jerry, he's such a fucking big timer that he probably didn't even take this into consideration, that he probably thought that there's no reason for me to touch on the fact that they fucked his paperwork up. You know, I have to get him.
He's probably just willing to eat the failure to appear.
At that point, it was nothing. I mean, he was already getting out of prison. It was nothing. Randy, now, to this day, he's not much, he doesn't do a whole lot now. He's really aged a lot. But he was doing a lot of book tours. He was doing a lot of gun clubs and book signings and conventions. Sarah, after the murders and the standoff, she moved in initially with her grandparents. It was just too much for her grandparents to take care of her and her siblings. So then she moved in with an aunt and uncle, I do believe. And she did finish her senior year of high school. She said it was just hard to adjust to life after that. And she really went out of her way to show the world and everyone that knew about it that they just weren't fucking weird people.
Yeah.
That they weren't different. And she really struggled with that to show everyone that she wanted to protect her siblings, but she wanted to show the world that they just weren't the way they were being portrayed in the media.
As if that's not a hard enough time in a adolescent's life, anyways.
Christ, a 16-year-old girl
just have to deal with all that.
Those
too.
Emotions.
Yeah.
Jesus, fuck that. You
Man.
can keep that. I mean, God fucking rest her mother's soul.
I guarantee you, the aunt and uncle didn't have a shed outside for her to go in.
Where am I supposed to have my period at? Well, sweetheart, you can have it right there in your panties where you stand at if you want.
Just go shit it out in the toilet.
Oh, that's nasty. Did you just shit your period out?
That's how that works, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
The girls just like, they do it for a few days and they're like, I'm tired of having my period. And they just go shit it out. That's how it works. All done. All done with my period. Climb on top, Rob Dog. There was the proceedings didn't stop after this trial. There was a 1992 FBI investigation found that 14 employees did enough things wrong to warrant disciplinary actions. The Department of Justice prepared a 542-page report on the case, concluding that the shot that killed Vicki Weaver violated the department's deadly force policy and contravened the Constitution.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah. In 1995, a civil suit brought by the Weaver family against the U.S. was settled, with the government agreeing to pay $3.1 million in compensation for the deaths of Vicki and Sammy Weaver. 5 years later, Kevin Harris accepted a $380,000 settlement.
Ugh.
Not enough.
That is nothing.
That is not enough in the grand scheme of things.
You better add another zero to that.
Yeah. In 1997, they found the bullet. This is several years after the fact. They found the bullet that killed Sammy. Larry Cooper had fired that shot. So, you know, he lived through all this. Larry Cooper did, but he's the one that shot Sammy in the back. County prosecutor Denise Woodbury filed involuntary manslaughter charges against FBI sniper Lon Huochi and murder charges, which were later dropped, against the family friend Kevin Harris. County prosecutor Denise Woodbury, I just fucking I put
the notes twice.
There was I can't remember. I fucked up my notes right there, but there was one other thing. It wasn't that important, but
fuck it.
There was they found the FBI agent, the sniper. It went to further up in the court system, the Supreme Court, and they dropped the charges eventually on the sniper. So
Man.
the charges were dropped once, they were picked back up, and then they were dropped again. But the friends of the sniper to this day say that he's absolutely haunted by the happenings of Ruby Ridge. But that didn't slow him down when he was picking motherfuckers off in Waco either. The Waco siege, he was a sniper in that, and I believe that he killed a lot of people in the Waco siege as well.
Oof.
Which will be another topic
Yeah.
for another day.
I guess if you're good at killing, you're good at killing, man.
Good at killing. Jesus Christ.
At least he's a good shot.
Yeah. Oh man. So what do you think, Rob Dog?
Whew. I don't know. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
I definitely think that the outcome is a little it went way too far.
Yes.
Um
And when Randy does his interviews now, there was an interview he did, and he said, if I could go back and do something differently, I would have went down and appeared for the charges.
well, I would hope so.
But he loved his wife very much.
Yeah. But to have your family massacred because of it, I feel like that's a little undeserving, of course.
Freedom fighter, man.
Yeah.
This is not even fucking around. This is...
This is
It's a
fucking
lot.
America.
I would absolutely side with him if it wasn't
Yeah.
for his racist bullshit.
Yeah. All that aside, yeah, he's a complete asshole in that aspect, but did he deserve to have his whole family gunned down?
No.
No.
Scary
It's a
stuff.
hard one, yeah.
So let's play a little round of how big was it? Randy Weaver.
Man.
I'm going to say a big old rock hard American 10.5 incher.
Yeah, see, I'm going opposite. I think
I'm looking at pictures of Vicky whenever she was like in early 20s.
Yeah.
Knockout, dude.
Yeah, but she was also a racist, so she had to settle.
She was crazy. Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm going around to 4.
4 1/4.
Yeah, 4. I'll give him a quarter too.
Average Oriental male.
Yeah.
All right, I like
A
it.
slight bend to the left.
Okay, I like it. Well, Rob's got to run because he's got some sedatives for his kids, but here's how this is going to unfold. I'm going to call and talk to Josh Jaxis. He's the sponsor of this episode. But if you stick around, there's also an interview with Bob Adrian, a.k.a. Bill Wilkins.
Bill Wilkins.
He played Bill Wilkins in The Conjuring 2. So
Lovely man.
lovely, lovely. So thank you guys so much for listening.
We love you.
I love you so much.
Bye.
All right, so now we're here with the cult hero Bob Adrian, a.k.a. Mr. Bill Wilkins. Bob, thank you so much for taking our call.
Okay, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, and the people are probably very excited to talk to you. My name's Nick, by the way, and I'm here with my buddy Rob.
Yeah, hi. How are you?
Hi, Rob.
Hi.
Good name.
Thank you.
Now, one of our absolute favorite movies is The Conjuring 2, and you played a very large part in the happening of that movie. Now, whenever they I think you is acting, is that like your main
Yeah.
okay. Do you do very much like play type things?
Yeah, I've done it all. I mean, I've done plays and theater. And movies and television.
What?
Whatever's around.
I understand. What's been your favorite?
Actors, we spend most of our time unemployed. So
I would have to. That's why people they ask me like, why don't you just podcast full time? Like, well, because I like paychecks. So that's why I don't. That's why I have a day job. So that's why that's why I'm stuck in my basement right now. And
that's where you do it out of?
yeah, we do it. We record it in my basement, and then we flip it over to the interwebs, and then it goes to Google and iTunes all over the world, and people download it, and then they.
Where are you based?
We're based out of Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There's nothing.
Dayton, Ohio.
There's
I don't
nothing.
really know it well.
There's nothing here for you, Bob. I promise.
That's not true. I've worked in Ohio.
Have you?
Yeah, Akron.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've worked in
At
Akron.
a theater that no longer exists.
Well, do you remember the name of it?
Of course I do. Another call. I'll try to get rid of him. Hold on.
Okay. All right, so Bill. Go back in. And just to let you guys know, there was some technical difficulties right here for about a minute or two, so we cut that part of the episode out, and we are picking up where the audio gets a little better. Thank you. As far as your more prominent roles that we've seen in movie theaters, what's been your favorite role that maybe we've seen there in the mainstream?
Well, you've probably seen 12 Monkeys, or you know of it, probably.
I'm very familiar with 12 Monkeys.
Well, I was one of the scientists that kept sending Bruce Willis back in time.
That you were.
There were 5 of us.
Now that's what year was that? What year was that?
1990. It came out in 96, but we shot it in 95.
I was just getting out of diapers,
I was
Bob. But
Well,
I am a sucker for good movies.
We were like 10 years old at the time.
That's all right.
But we are suckers for good movies, and that's why I've watched that movie before. So
You have seen it. Well, I'll tell you a funny story about when I was shooting The Conjuring 2. One morning, I woke up. I couldn't hear out of my ear. I had wax in my ear. And they had put all my makeup on. Now, that makeup process took a long time.
oh, you were set up good.
You know, you just probably heard about, or maybe you heard about, how much time it took for Christian Bale to get into his makeup for Cheney. You see that movie?
I haven't seen it. I want to see it very badly, but I've never.
Well,
I haven't.
Well, one thing you can say for sure is that Christian Bale was terrific, and he looked just like Cheney.
He did.
How did they get him to look like that?
He was fat and everything.
So it took them, for me to get into makeup, the first time they did it took about 2 hours.
Jeez. Ooh.
Then it would take about an hour. I think usually it was about an hour and a half. And then another 45 minutes to get it off.
Ugh.
So one day I couldn't hear out of my ear. They had already done my makeup. And I told the producer, Rob Cowan, that I needed to see an ear doctor.
Right.
And I was going to go on my own, but I was shooting that day. So he said, listen, we'll take you, but you can't take your makeup off because it takes too long. So they had one of the transport people, the Teamsters, took me with, and my son was with me. He was out. I have 2 sons. He was out there visiting me, and they took me to Cedars of Lebanon Hospital in L.A. It's a famous hospital.
Okay.
So I came in. It was an ear, nose, and throat doctor that I had to see. I came into the area, no one even looked at me because everyone looked sick.
Especially in L.A.
Well, no, not that it was L.A. It was at a hospital. You see a lot of sick people walking around looking bad.
Right.
I for sure looked bad. And they took me up to the ENT doctor, and his assistant, took my blood pressure and did a few things, and then they put me in a room. They put you in a room when a doctor's going to come, and you just sit there waiting.
Sure.
The guy walks in the room, and he holds his hands out, and he goes, ah! He sees my makeup. He knew I was coming with my makeup on.
Okay, good.
And he asked me the same question you did about 12 Monkeys. No, what roles have you done it? And I mentioned 12 Monkeys, and he said, 12 Monkeys? That's my favorite movie. And he immediately went to his phone and did one click, and there was my picture from 12 Monkeys.
That's awesome.
That's great.
He said he had seen it 20 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So he treated me all right after that. All worked out.
Man, I can imagine like you dragging yourself into the ER there. I think if like the zombie apocalypse thing does really kick off, that would probably be where it starts at, is LA for sure, because in all the movies and whatnot, that's where it all starts, is LA.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of stuff going on in LA.
There sure is. Now, as far as the Conjuring 2, whenever they first reached out to you for the role, did you know about the story at all, or was that something you had to?
I'm losing you now. I'm sorry. When they reached out to me, what?
Whenever they reached out to you about the story, did you have any idea about that story at all, or is that something you had
You
to?
mean the true story?
Yes.
No, I had no idea whatsoever.
Right. The true story with.
You're talking about the Warrens.
Yeah.
You did a little documentary on them.
Yeah.
Last week.
No, well, it's been about a year ago, but we did cover their life and times. Yes.
Well, they came to the set when we were shooting.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Now what?
Yeah, they had a priest come to bless the place because
Oh, wow.
Now, did
They didn't want to leave any stones unturned. You know,
Okay. Now, as far as your beliefs and whatnot, was there any like heebie-jeebies you kind of had with that at all, or?
You mean I, as a person, doing that role, and
Well-
having to go through that? You mean?
Yeah, well, the priest come in. Did you like? I guess as far as your beliefs and like demonic possession and the paranormal, whenever they were doing all these things, did you feel like this was kind of like unneeded, or did it kind of give you the creeps, or how did you?
No, it didn't give me the creeps. If they wanted to do it, it's fine with me. I mean, they didn't interfere with anything I was doing.
Right. What did?
And I was a horror fan from the time I was a little kid. Not that I'm a real horror cult person,
Right.
but I loved horror movies when I was a kid. And I have a sister who I used to scare the shit out of. What happened, my parents would leave me. I didn't want a babysitter after I was 6.5.
You were babysitting when you were 6.5?
That's right.
That's
because it was different times.
That's
Right,
that's
right.
responsibility right there, buddy.
Well, they'd leave me alone, and they'd leave a number, and they'd say, if something happens, call us. We'll come home. Well, as soon as they left, after a little while, I started getting scared. I'd see these shadows,
Right.
and my sister was fast asleep because her big brother was there taking care of her,
Right.
But I was scared, and I would wake her up. It took a lot to wake her up. I said, "Look at that! You scared of that shadow, And she finally started crying, and then I call my parents up, and they come home.
Well, I guess that's one way to do
I
it.
traumatized her from the time she was about 4 years old.
Does she remember this now?
Oh yes,
That's enough.
she remembers it vaguely. She said I used to try to scare her. I guess she says I showed her pictures of lepers. I don't remember that. Doing that.
They didn't have Google Images back then, so I'd
That's right.
be curious to know where you kept pictures of lepers around the house.
It was probably in its encyclopedia. I probably just looked it up.
Yeah.
Showed it to her.
Now you
Anyway, but the answer to your question is that no, I didn't. It was just a role to play, and I was into it, and I didn't care about what they were doing with the paranormal investigations.
right.
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, those women still insist that it happened.
Right, they do.
Yeah, and life goes on.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it. Now, did it take much to? I know part of, like you said, your occupation is you're an actor, and part of that is
Right.
preparing yourself for a role. Now, that specific role, did it take a lot to get into the mind of Bill Wilkins, or did it take a lot to get yourself ready for that role, minus the 2-hour makeup?
No, I mean, once I got into the script and recognized that this character was a tortured soul,
Right.
that's all I needed. And I can tell you this: you probably get a kick out of hearing this. In the script, there's a scene, the scene with Vera Farmiga near the end of the movie. When she's asking me questions, and I say, I need to get out of here, and I say, and there's a puzzle. It's really not so clear what I'm saying to her.
Yeah.
I'm giving her a hint what the killer is, or
Right.
what the demon is.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the line. I'm given and I'm taken. I was there at your first breath.
Oh.
You didn't ask for me, but I'll follow you till death. That means it's the name.
Yeah.
Your name is what you're born with. So
Right.
at your first breath, you have a name.
That makes sense.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do. Like,
I'll follow you till death.
that's pretty heavy.
Right.
It makes her think of the name that she had found in the Bible. There's a scene when I'm trying to remember the exact scene. She's with Patrick Wilson, and she's looking through the Bible, and she comes across. Now, if you probably remember it better than I do. The name of the demon who became the nun.
Valak?
Valak.
Yeah.
Right. She had seen that name in the Bible when she had this vision of him dying. Do you remember that? She kind of circles it and pulls the page
Yes,
out.
I do.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm telling her, that it's tied to a name. The message I'm giving her is the name.
Well, now you just want to make me turn all my equipment off and go watch the movie right now, Bob.
All right.
Well, here's the point of what I was telling you. In the script, I told you I paid attention to what the script said the character was about. And in the script, it's at the beginning of that scene, the author, who is the director, he co-wrote that script, James Wan.
I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was a co-writer. So it says, Bill is sitting in his chair, and he begins to quietly sob, crying,
Yeah.
And so I was preparing. You asked me about preparation for doing the role, and I can remember specifically for that scene, I had certain images in my mind that I was concentrating on that would put me in the mood to start crying as soon as they said action.
Wow.
And meanwhile, on a film set, they're doing all this stuff. It's all about them. They're pulling wires and lights and making a lot of noise, and I'm sitting there trying to stay ready. And I was full, very full with emotion. And now James Wan says, "All right, let's have a rehearsal. Action." And I start going, cut. He said, cut. And he comes out, he says, "Bob, I don't want you crying." I said, "It's written in the script." He says, No, I'm the director. I'm telling you, I don't want you to cry. I want you to be strong. That's what I call being thrown a curve.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
ultimate curveball right there.
Yeah. So I managed to incorporate what he said, and when I saw the scene finally, I thought, well, my feeling about it was still there. But, it's a director's medium.
Right.
Film is a director's medium. They can do anything they can want to do to tell a story. And
Yeah.
very often actors, myself included, we feel that they left something out.
Right.
So that's that. That's what happened.
Well, I'm sure you've been told this a million times, but from our perspective watching the movie, every time I watch that scene, my hair stands on end, which I think was what they were shooting for. And you really did.
Yeah.
You did a phenomenal job with the role, and
Thank you.
whenever I think of Bill Wilkins, I'm definitely Bob Adrian is the first one. You're the first name that comes to mind there with it, and you killed the role, and you did a phenomenal job. So
Thank you.
we're honored that we got to share this time with you, Bob. And
Good. I'm glad you got it.
And is there
When
any?
do you air this? When do you put this out?
We will honestly. We're gonna finish up the main. Have you ever heard of the Ruby Ridge siege? It was
Yeah, sure.
That's our topic this week, and we're finishing up that episode right now, and we're gonna throw your interview at the end of the episode. But I'm telling you, you're like the Beatles with the Brohio Nation, Bob. So you have a huge fan base here. So I think
when are you putting are you going to add this to that Ruby Ridge
yes,
podcast?
yes, we'll release it tonight, and it'll be available tonight around midnight, 1 a.m. something
cool.
like that, and then you just dial us up and download the episode, and there will
Great.
be. So
Okay, I wish you a lot of luck.
and now an interview with the sponsor of this episode, Mr. Josh, or as he is affectionately known in the Brohio studios, Jaxus. So here's Josh. Josh,
What's going on?
what's up, buddy? It's the delicious Nicolicious from the Brohio podcast. How you doing, buddy?
Good. What's going on, brother?
No, well, you got, sadly enough, Rob Dog. He had to go, so you got just me, which
No worries.
I think will be okay, man.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. We actually, one of the things that I talked to you earlier on in the week, and I said I think we're
Yeah.
gonna get Bill Wilkins for this episode. It happened, man. We interviewed him as well.
Oh shit! How did that go?
It went really well. He's a super cool guy. We kind of a little time mix up, so he was a little irritated because we kind of stood him up, rightfully so. But it panned out. It was a good fucking interview. He was a super awesome guy. He's a well traveled actor. But we got the official Bill Wilkins from The Conjuring 2 on Josh's fucking episode, man.
Yeah, that's fucking dope.
I know it
That's
is.
sick.
Now we are all done covering the Ruby Ridge incident, the Ruby Ridge siege, man. And Rob had never heard this story before, but it was twisting. It was
Yeah, I
twisting.
was gonna ask if you guys heard of that before.
I have not, man. And
No?
it really tears you in two different directions. You want to side like the natural, well, not really anymore, but the narrative has normally been to side with the government and the police, but nowadays you're just like, I don't know whose side I should be on. But after going through all this research, man, I was kind of siding with Randy Weaver, even though he was a racist prick, but I think he just, he wanted to be left alone, man, and they wouldn't let him fucking do that.
You kill you watch your son and wife die in fucking front of you. I'm gonna have a full-on firefight with anybody that comes in my house too.
I agree, man. That's why we're fucking alpha dogs, man, because we don't fuck around.
Shit. I mean, I'm saying I'm gonna hit anybody. I'm just gonna spray and pray, but fuck, I'll go out trying. You know what I mean?
I feel you, dude. Just a really emotional topic, and with the way the gun stuff is going on in America right now, and the way that all the stuff is with law enforcement, this is like a 30-year-old story, but it really hits home with the way shit is going on right now in the world. And I thanks for picking an awesome topic, man. It was good shit.
Yeah, I figured, because I know about. I mean, I didn't hear about it till about last year either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I can't believe after that shit, I can't believe anybody gets away with that shit nowadays. The government, the FBI, you know what I mean?
Oh, it happens every day. Like, I'm not a super, like, sleep with one eye open kind of guy or anything like, but this shit happens every day. There's videos that have come out recently of cops planting guns and drugs on people, and it just, I've made it abundantly clear that Rob and I both we've both worked in law enforcement at points in our career. And I have a lot of friends that are still in law enforcement, man. I still say a prayer for them all the time, but there's a lot of fucked up people out there that call themselves cops or agents that are doing some fucked up shit. But for every guy that's out there doing fucked up shit, there's 1,000 people out there that they're working, doing their damnedest to protect us and take care of their family. And I commend those guys, but to the scumballs, you need to go fucking find a new job.
It's only the bad guys that fucking get the attention. Then
yeah,
you know what I mean?
It is unfortunate. And then, a lot of times people will put shit on Facebook. They're like, oh, look at this, look at this cop playing basketball in the neighborhood, trying to make himself. But that's what community policing's all about, man. Stop and play with the kids, man. Show them that you're a nice fucking guy.
Yeah, like I'm actually an Army veteran, and I was infantry in Afghanistan.
Well, thank you for your service, brother. Thank you so much.
I don't know, thanks for the support, but it's like at the same time, it's just like, not all fucking Afghanis are fucking bad people. Not all of us want to blow us the fuck up, you know what I mean?
I'm glad you said that.
So it's like, so what can you do? Like, yeah, they lived in a fucked up situation. They live in a fucking shitty situation, but we're there to make it fucking better. And if we can show them, like, not all Americans are fucking evil, and we're fucking human beings, you know what I mean? Like, let's fucking do that shit.
I agree. What a fucking polarizing topic you picked, Josh. You fucking asshole.
Yeah, I mean, because it's I try to talk to my coworkers, my friends about them. They're like, what the hell is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bill Wilkins knew what it was. I asked him. I said, "You ever heard of the Ruby Ridge siege?" He said, "Yeah, man, I know all about it." I said, "Rock on."
What?
Yeah, he said he knew all about it. He's just not some guy that sits in the chair. Bob Adrian. He's a real dude. He's about his shit, man. He's a good dude. So. Yeah.
But
now, you live out in California, right?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever ventured down to the Area 51, like down to New Mexico or Nevada, that area?
Yeah. Yep, I have.
Have you really?
Yeah.
What's it like down there, man?
Jack shit. There's like nothing there except for signs that saying we'll shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd want to see what that's all about, though. I'd just start shaking fences and shit just to see what happens.
Well, they have signs, literally signs there that say, no warning shots will be fired. You'll get shoot on sight or shot on sight. Yeah, so it's like I kind of want to live. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, in that same breath, man, we are a podcast covering all kinds of goofy shit. We we talk about a lot of weird stuff. What are you when it comes to aliens and UFOs? What's going on in the brain of Josh, man?
So, I'm a big believer in aliens. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Okay.
there has to be something out there. There's not just fucking us.
I agree.
You know, because if it ever comes to that day, it's like, yeah, you guys are alone in the universe. I'm shooting myself because that's fucking scary. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, nope, not this one, and I'm gone.
That's some heavy
No.
shit, dude.
No, but no, I definitely believe in aliens. There has to be fucking something out there, man. I'm also I fucking believe in Bigfoot.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, for 400 fucking years, the Chinese said there was a fucking big-ass red and black panda, and no one believed them. You know what I mean?
There it was.
And there it fucking was. And I mean, our fucking national forests haven't all been mapped and fucking walked, and, you know, so there's something out there. You know, trust me, I believe in all that shit. Ghosts? No, not really.
You don't believe in ghosts, but you believe in Bigfoot, man?
Fuck yeah, man.
All right, I can dig it. I'm sure we got a big live show coming up where we're going to the Waverly Hills sanatorium afterwards.
Yeah,
and
we're
gonna take a Ouija board and shit, man. We're gonna see what's going on. We're gonna
Well,
find.
see, that's where like I'll trust your guys' fucking verdict. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because like you see all these shows like that's fucking scripted or that's fucking fake, and you can't trust fucking YouTube or social media nowadays. You know what I mean?
No.
So it's just like that.
The cool thing about me and Rob is we have no technical know-how or skill besides hitting record and hitting stop.
Yeah, for sure.
So like for us, like if I Photoshop a ghost into a picture, you're gonna know that I Photoshopped a ghost into a picture. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I can't fucking sugarcoat that shit, man. So
Oh yeah.
we're really looking forward to checking that out, and I wish, someday I hope the winds take Brohio to the California area. I got my best friend lives in Sacramento, so
Oh, okay. Yeah. The armpit of California.
That's what he says too. He's like, I fucking hate it here, but
I mean, California it's all right. I mean,
dude,
you don't have to suck dick.
I love
suck dick to
California.
make rent. Everyone says that until you live in California. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get. Oh, it's the same way with Ohio. When people are like, come here for a vacation, like, man, this isn't that bad. I'm like, try waking up on a fucking Tuesday when you're 5 minutes late for work and you got 6 inches of goddamn ice on your windshield and you're, scraping it off. Then tell me that Ohio's not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, here, me and my wife are paying $2,700 for a 625 square foot 1-bedroom apartment.
Jesus Christ, man!
Yep.
Oh, without totally giving away my financial situation or what I'm doing, if you would check the Craigslist ads here for about $1,000 a month, you could live in about a 2,000 square foot house, like 4-bedroom, 2 baths, 2-car garage with a yard, in a decent neighborhood.
Oh, trust me, I go on like Zillow and fucking look at every other fucking state and just like make myself depressed every single day.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you live in like the Bay Area, right?
Yeah, San Jose. I actually live right down the street from where the college football championship's going on.
Okay,
right now.
Yeah, and here I am talking to you, bro.
Yeah. Hey, you guys are more important than that fucking football game.
Right.
None of my teams are in it, so.
Right. Well, who's your favorite college team?
Stanford.
Stanford. Okay, I can respect that.
Yeah.
That's a good team to have living out there. Them are USC. Those are the two big ones. What about your NFL team?
It was the Raiders.
Womp womp womp.
Yeah, but since they decided to move to fucking Las Vegas, and it's just like a big fuck you,
Yeah, it is, dude. That's
again.
I think John Gruden getting that job's a fucking joke too. By the way,
I think the whole fucking team, the owners are fucking joke. He hires escorts. You know what I mean?
You are disgruntled, my friend.
No, I'm not. I kind of gave up on him when they announced the move.
Listen, dude, I'm a fucking Bengals fan. We haven't won a playoff game in 30 fucking years. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's because you guys fucking wised up and fucking got rid of your coach after 19 losing fucking seasons.
Yeah, I know. Old Marvin Lewis. He's going to be my next. He's going to be the third host on the Brohio podcast soon. So. Well,
but no, yeah, the Raiders are. I'm kind of just done with them. I really don't care. Now I'm just rooting for like individual players.
Yeah, I can. I'm a big fantasy dude, so I can respect that.
Yeah.
You keep your eyes open next year, man. There's going to be a Brohio fantasy league. So.
Oh shit, I'm in.
Oh yeah, check it out, bro.
What's the buy-in? A dick pitch or what?
No, just like a bend over at the waist, like some casting couch shit, like bend over at the waist and spread your cheeks. One of those type deals.
Oh, okay. That's
It's that easy. Do you have now? You got the delicious Nicolicious on the waves here in front of everyone. Do you have any questions for me, or I can answer some questions for Rob Dog? He's not here. I can answer questions for him too.
No, I mean, not really questions. I just think it's like, I don't know, like being ex-military, you guys make it, I don't know, the camaraderie we had there, you know what I mean? Because you have a lot of dark humor and a lot of people don't understand that, you know what I mean?
Well, I get it, dude.
Oh, but that's why I love listening to you guys, because you guys just understand that and you guys make it feel like, fuck, I'm back in the, you know, I'm back in,
dude.
you know, like.
Thank you. That means a lot.
These guys fucking understand, but I mean, like, I just want to know, like, where do you always have that sense of humor? Because I mean, that's really hard. It's just not. It's not common, you know. Like I joke around with my coworkers and look at me like I'm fucking sociopath.
Right? No, for me, man, I've always been a funny guy. But when I started working at the prison, and that's kind of like, there's nothing that can ever come close to marching through fucking Fallujah or Baghdad, not knowing what your next step is going to entail. But the fact that I walked a cell block with hundreds of murderers in it every night was not an easy beat to walk. Not anywhere close to what our soldiers go through on a daily basis. But it gives you something. It puts things in perspective for you, and you have to have a certain coping mechanism. And you just gotta. I mean, you gotta find the fucking laughter and everything, or else all the fucked up shit that happens, if you just harbor it and hold it inside you, you just turn into a ticking time bomb, man. Honestly, and I think you can probably speak from experience there that you just gotta find the humor and the laughter and everything, and eventually you just get to the point where you're fucking dead to everything. You're numb. Your kids fall down and hit their heads, and you're like, get the fuck up, you know? Dust it off. You're fine. But, you know, I can speak for me. I got 3 daughters. I'm a very, very loving, hands-on dad. And that, for me, is the greatest job in the entire world, is being their dads. But I got to walk the fucking line between my humor and what I want them to hear from me. But I do try and, like, make them laugh and make them in a way that they're not fucking weird when they grow up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want them to, I don't want to shelter them so much that when they grow up, they're like, what's a penis? You know, I'm obviously not teaching my kids what a penis is right now, but I will grab their hand and fart on it and not show any remorse, honestly. So.
Yeah, I mean, you want to teach them it's a cold world out there, you know what I mean?
It's a cold world, yeah.
It's not like dandelions and fucking candy canes and shit.
Sometimes it is, but most of the time it is not.
Shit, I know, right?
Some real shit, man. I need a fucking drag, right? I just need to take a big old hit. I'll be all right. All right. Thank you so much for doing the interview with us, man. You have my phone number now, so don't ever hesitate to hit me up.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to go put it on glory holes all over the fucking San Francisco.
Dude, I've had this phone number for 16 years, and I have fought off some fucking dragons in those 16 years, so I'm ready, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for your, your generosity, and thank you so much for the time you took out for us. And I think was your wife in charge? She's wrote us before. Tell your wife we love her as well, and thanks for aiding and abetting you and your Brohio habit.
Oh yeah, she fucking hates it, but I love you guys. I
think she did lead with that. She's like, I don't like you, but here is I'm like, all right.
Yeah, she's like, I don't fucking like those guys. Those guys are fucking disgusting, but
Yeah.
I know you like them, so
Right.
like maybe you can have them suck your dick for you. Well, they probably would if you were close enough.
No, I've never officially had a dick in my mouth, but $20 is $20, and as long as we keep our socks on, we have nothing to worry about. You know that.
Yeah, and no eye contact.
Well, that's why you keep the
That's
socks
extra.
on, man. We can just stare at each other as long as the socks are on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys, doing my topic,
Yeah.
having me on. I mean, you guys, please, when you guys fucking make it big, don't ever change.
Oh, we're not making it big, and we're not changing anything, man. But we're always gonna be Nick and Rob, so you got nothing to worry about there.
I love you guys. You guys stay the fucking same, man. You guys are probably keep it fucking real. There's no fucking, you know what I mean?
I feel you.
It's just honest. Like, oh yeah, Rob sucked my dick, and we're selling this fucking cleaning supplies. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
just like,
What it
like
is,
no,
man.
like he just sucked my dick because he likes sucking dicks. You know what I mean?
All the dick sucking. I got a boner now, so. All right, buddy. Well, thank you so much, and take care. All right.
All right, have a good one.
All right,
And
you
hey, happy New Year's. Enjoy it.
All right, you
See
too,
and your
brother.
family.
All right.
All right,
See ya.
bye.
That was Jaxus, a.k.a. Josh. He's a Patreon pledger. You can have your own episode, or you can sponsor your own episode.
You can sponsor your own episode as well.
You go to patreon.com/BroHioPodcast for a $50 pledge. We've got a line of people waiting for their episodes. I believe next is, oh God. His name has left me. His wife's name is Brandy, but his name has left me. Justin. Justin is next in the line. So thank you so much, guys, for listening. We will catch you next time.